Welcome back to Etihad. Coming up, the Carlton draft pick from the App Store. You can download it right now. You can play along with the game, tip against your mates, play trivia, or even join the polls.
Tails it is.
Callan Ward's won the toss and Stevie Milne doing the job on fan day for St Kilda. Well, a fan favourite, no doubt about that. And as we say g'day to Tom Harley and Mick Malthouse once again, that's an interesting Guernsey for fan day.
I like it, Baz. I think it's a good and true recognition of the fans who come out, and it has been a long year for St Kilda. Not going to play finals at this stage of the year, but they've picked up a couple of international fans on the back of Shane Warne, and there's probably the most famous of all of them, Baz. I think her name's Liz Hurley.
She's dressed for the snow, isn't she? The roof is closed. Of course, Shane Warne, her fiancé, played in the curtain raiser this afternoon.
Well, he did, and he snagged a goal. I know he did that much playing out of the square for the Saints in the curtain raiser.
And her nephew last night played for the Bombers, Michael.
Yes, Michael, and he spent a bit of time down back. I'm not sure whether Liz was aware that Michael was playing down back for the Bombers last night, but it's a great family affair here at Etihad.
And we will see some of Shane Warne running around in the curtain raiser at half-time, so, look, a little sneak peek. He did get amongst the goals.
Shane did,
yeah,
and he was very good. He looks super fit out there. Had the shoulder strapped up, Baz, the right shoulder, obviously a bit of wear and tear from another sport.
Yeah, well, he did play for the under-19s, didn't he, for St Kilda, so he knows his way around a football field. Umpires today, Hosking, Finlay and Mitchell, as we prepare to get it started on a Saturday afternoon at Etihad Stadium, and away they go. Ball bounced. McDonald in there fighting for the football. Callan Ward with a quick kick out of the pack, back in the team. Taken quickly by the first game at Kuyu. He had it, lost it. Now it comes forward again. Gathered by Bug. Down towards full forward. Gwilt. Awkward bounce for him, and he did the right thing. Just knocked it over the line behind the first score of the afternoon, and it goes GWS's way.
Interesting player, Gwilt, size-wise. He's come back off that knee. Beautiful left foot kick generally, and it's no exception.
To the outer side he goes. Chance for Dempster. Takes the mark. Does pretty well. Interesting, Tommy. Kevin Sheedy had a once great dominance over the Saints as a bomber. Won the first 20 outings. Tough assignment this afternoon.
Stay out behind.
Del Santo. If you just joined us, the Saints have 1,200 odd members' names on their jerseys just to signify their thanks in thank you round. Montagna short. Little one inboard to Nunes.
Quite clearly you're looking at the way that the Giants coaches are training their young players. It's fundamentally a one-on-one game, and you scan the field, one-on-one matchups everywhere.
Sipos to the outer side, Montagna. 5 changes for the Saints, 5 players with a total of 36 games coming in, 797 going out. So an opportunity for some youngsters this afternoon against a young Giants opposition. Hard ball now. Nunes did pretty well. Head over it, couldn't quite control it. And a heap of orange around the football, and that won't be going anywhere, Mick.
Well, they've got some kamikaze players. There's no question about that. That ball's alive right until the umpire calls it his, and that's a great sign when you've just attacked the football as hard as they do. And that's, I'm talking about Greater Western Sydney.
So ball bounced inside 50 for the Saints. Here's Stevie, ran onto it easy as you like. How about that for the opening goal of the afternoon? Well done, Stevie. The Saints are away.
Well, there's always great learnings for the young players every time they come out, and Kennedy's got the job on Stephen Milne. Just failed to get goal side. As a coaching tool, always get goal side with Stephen Milne. Try and get a bit of body pressure, so who'll learn from that?
So Giles quickly to half forward. Underneath it, Wilson. Gilbert there for the Saints. Cruising past Cripps. Well done, Treloar. Little one to Green. Looks so young, plays so old, like a veteran already, and the ball will spill over.
Looks like youngster St Kilda player Jack Nunes has got the job on curbing the ball magnet Toby Green today.
Well, many people think he should be winning the Rising Star. Won't be. McDonald quickly inside. Who's there? Gilbert, a chance. Phillips goes across the front. Wilson there too. Bit of support from Simpkin. Wilt picked it up, dished it off. Gilbert to the outer side. The ball to a one-on-one. Kick not great. Shanks the ball and allows Hampton just to drive on through. Hoskin-Elliott did well. Handball back inside to the old stager in power, and they work through. Now to McDonald. Long ball inside 50. Here's a chance. Phillips front spot, wheeled over the top, and Geary just punched it away. Simpkin did okay, went through the tackle, handballed, and Geary. He comes away with it for the Saints. Handball was under pressure, and there's numbers around it. They'll hold it up for the Giants. Sipos underneath it all.
Umpire watches and then eventually comes in and decides to bounce.
Big improver, Geary. He's had a really good year. Some great opportunities under Scotty Waters.
Well, speaking of improvements, boys, what about the haircut for Brett Kirk?
Massive improvement. Probably, to be fair, Baz didn't need much improvement, but Kirky, by his own admission, hadn't seen his ears for about 5 or 6 years. So, you like it, Baz?
I like it, Mick.
Oh, well, I said to him he must be coaching because he's starting to go grey, and he admitted that he was coaching, but he also admitted that he was going grey partway through his playing career. So.
Well, Kirky,
Thanks for the care, gentlemen.
Your blood rule down there as well, so you can tell us about the haircut and do a bit of work.
Yeah, just changing it up for you, Basil.
Jeez, it looks sharp, doesn't it? So off he comes and just sitting down, and we'll keep an eye on Toby Green.
Don't kick, Jaron Geary.
And the umpire,
Thanks, Anthony.
you heard him say
Play
don't
on.
kick, so that helped Callan Ward out, didn't it? It would have been 50 otherwise, so the free kick Geary's way. And now St Kilda have got the ball. They move it from Gwilt around to Dempster, and then the long one from Ledger in the Goddard direction with a new contract offer on the table. What will happen? Comes out Sard's way, back to Goddard, running through the middle of the ground. Nice work by Cripps. The kick is terrific, and underneath it, Bo Wilkes judged it well and will go back and kick on goal from the top of the square.
Well, that was very, very well done. Right in front of us for a start. I've got started that with a terrific hand pass, but the kick found space, and once Wilkes had summed up that he was just caught slightly behind his man, he didn't make any movement towards the player, he moved away, which opened up the back paddock, and as a consequence he's having a shot on goal.
It's been a handy recruit from the West Coast Eagles out of the WAFL last year. Bo Wilkes goes back, and St Kilda have got their second, his 11th for the season.
Well, here's the incident where Toby Green has ended up with a bit of blood. That looked like a firm sort of headlock from Jack Nunes, I reckon it was. A young player in himself, but he does put his head over the foot. He's certainly won a lot of plaudits with the way he's gone about it this year, Toby Green.
So ball kicked towards half forward again for St Kilda, and over the football Cripps. His handball not ideal, sold his man into a trouble. That was Stevie Milne. At the back, Hampton, good pressure by Lenny Hayes. Here's Stevie for his second. Couldn't bring it around enough, and it's just a behind.
An update on Green. He's got a small cut to the back of his head. They're just bandaging it up now. He's a tough kid. He doesn't look too happy being off either. He's trying to hurry him along. So obviously uber competitive.
He might have the Brett Kirk headband going soon, Kirky.
Quite possibly.
It's Kirky's day, isn't it, Tom?
Started well, Baz.
Oh, he's in the game, that's for sure. St Kilda 2-1-13. GWS just the one behind, and the ball paddled now towards the line. That was okay by Devon Smith. He kept it in front of him, and the ball over the line, and yep, headband it is.
He's wasted no time getting back on the ground, Green, and he'll end up right in front of this pack, just watching the ruckman try to get the ball to him.
Mick, you mentioned 7 30-plus possession games in his debut season. That really is outstanding work. Bug fired a handball out to Adams. Comes now and gathered cleanly by Haynes. He was wrapped up in a tackle, and the ball will be bounced. So 7 30-plus possession games in his debut season, including 38 last week. Dane Swan took 31 games to get 30 possessions. Chris Judd, it took him 37 games into his AFL career. And Gary Ablett Jr. at 103 games, admittedly playing as a half forward for a lot of his career, Tom, but they're not bad numbers, are they?
Well, since the start of Champion Data Statistics, he's actually had the best first-year player of all debutants. It's been quite outstanding.
Donald, he got taken to ground. Nunes was looking likely. Bug, little one over the top. Darley now, and the Bjorn Bjorg headband wearing Green. Another possession for the man that has accumulated all season.
The thing you love about Toby Green, he just doesn't accumulate possessions, Hamish. He actually goes in and wins it himself and puts his head in the hole when he needs to.
Is someone tagging there, Kirk? It looks like someone's running with him there. I don't know whether...
Yeah, Jack Nunes running with him.
Run with him all day.
Another youngster on youngster.
A fabulous year. However you look at the numbers. Little one in turn to Miles. Short again to Tyson. Interesting halftime segment. Dom Tyson and Canelio just talking about Canelio's hair. We've had plenty of time with Brett Kirk's hair. Trelaw, one of the youngsters that's been so impressive. To half forward, Giles. Well, McAvoy in the end didn't have to do too much. It came to him. Gwilt just cruises through half-back. Here's a chance for Montagna. Ray's with him. Montagna takes it and gives it. Now a chance for Stephen. Hoskin-Elliott tries to chase him down. The ball goes in the Wilkes direction, and the ball is perfect.
what happens with a young side when they're really developing and learning the game and quite clearly being told to play one-on-one football is you lose the confidence to zone off your opponent and fill some space, and when you're chasing around your direct opponent, space does open up, and we've seen on a couple of occasions now St Kilda being able to bring the ball through the middle of the ground and in effect kick to space and dictate where the ball's going to end up.
So Wilkes, 23 games as a West Coast Eagle, enjoying his time as a Saint and enjoying a Saturday afternoon against the Giants. He's got 2.
And this is exactly what Tom was talking about. Players just looking after their own player instead of cutting across. And Wilkes found space behind his direct opponent, but could have been intercepted by another opponent, but just took his eyes off his direct man.
Phillips went against McAvoy. Went again, did Phillips. That was nice work coming out of the pack by Miles, and then player carried forward. That's Ward back in the team. Free kick. He sends it out wide to Phillips, who's done a fair bit of running in this opening term. I suppose they'll try and stretch McAvoy, as most teams do. Just the one recognised ruckman. Mick mentioned, of course, Giles at the outset. And with Phillips, they've been good partners in crime. Here's Bug. Sends the ball towards the wing, and the mark taken by Haynes. He's got players cruising by. Needed to be careful. He gets the football back from Tyson. Now back he goes to Kennedy. And here's Davis.
It looks as though they've made a tactical move here. Davis, I think it's gone on to Wilkes. Haynes been freed up and playing further across half-back.
Davis sends it long, and there's Phillips again. He got free. Marks just on the logo. The centering ball inside for Ward. Player breaking. It's the first gamer. Kuyu missed it with the mark, but got the handball out to Hampton, and then the kick towards half forward, pretty good, and the mark taken for GWS by Treloar. Here's Hampton again.
They are really moving the ball like young kids. It's just real stationary stuff. Kick the ball to the nearest player, but not really looking too much further afield.
A couple of leads from Tomlinson were ignored. It falls to Stevens. Simpkin, well done at the back by Sipos. He works a handball over. It comes to Hayes and then kept running. That was nicely done by Sipos. Uses Montagna now. He can go. Couple of bounces from the wing. The kick out in front of Sard. How will it sit? It bounces for him nicely now. He gets around Bug. Did he keep it in? Well, he did the boundary umpiring on his own in the end. He knew it had gone over and just stopped, and it will be thrown in.
Just out.
Probably not the best thing to do there. I mean, you really want to just keep going, because there's every chance with the speed of the ball moving that the umpire might miss it. Yep.
Gets from legend Andrew Phillips.
I think the two boundary umpires on that side of the ground, Baz might have saved the problem, because they weren't too far away from that.
Mick, you were speaking about how young this Giants side is. There's 13 teenagers, and there is only 2 players out there that have played more than 50 games. It's remarkable, really. Sorry, 3 players, Power, Ward and McDonald.
Well, that's when you bring new sides into this competition, particularly with the advantages of having those young players picked. You're going to suffer a lot of pain early by bringing kids in, and you've got to play them, because you've got to find out whether they're good enough. And these are the consequences.
Milne, Cripps, Davis, the skipper, or one of them, hasn't missed a game this year for the Giants.
Well, that was the difference straight away. So Davis, the more experienced defenders, moved on to Wilkes, and because he's played more AFL football, knows when the right time to come off his opponent and saved a certain goal.
Hoskin-Elliott quickly from half-back, tumbles it towards Wilson, off hands. Here's a chance. Kuyu missed it, left it behind. Sipos did well. Dempster, Wilt onto the left. Normally pretty good. Del Santo's got a Paddock. He'll wheel onto the left boot, goes short, over the top. Stevie Milne awaits.
Well, I find that extraordinary, because one of the Giant...
Play on Stevie Milne for the second in a very similar fashion to the first.
Just the build-up from St Kilda. All it takes is one player to get off the chain when you do play one-on-one football. And Del Santo's not the one you do want to let off the chain, and Kennedy forced to move up to Del Santo, alleviated Stevie Milne's goal to St Kilda.
Game number 257 for Stevie Milne, and he's been a multiple goal scorer in 155 of those. This afternoon, the 155th. McDonald, one of the veterans of the GWS team, trying to move the ball forward, and Smith was being hung on to. Now, will Green be allowed to go? No is the answer, and the ball is going to come right back to where Umpire Robert Finlay is standing.
Just coming back to that goal at Milne kick, a more senior side, that goal wouldn't have happened because there was a blood rule and an umpire within 20 metres, a trainer would have yelled out, blood rule, they would have seen the blood, stop the play.
Yeah.
But because the young kid was trying to hide a bloodied face, the ball went on.
So Devon Smith takes the free kick. It wanders forward. It's gathered by Treloar, and he's kicked a goal, the first for GWS.
Yeah, it's a very good goal. It's around the body. Had a quick peek beforehand, so and keep your head over the football. You know where the goals are. They're not moving, so terrific goal there by Treloar.
Well, Green again crashes it towards half forward. Simpkin, he goes back. He's got to wait for the bounce. Pressure came from Tomlinson. They battle it out on the outer side. We just have a look at this bug injury. We saw him go off with the blood rule.
Might have been, which is the graze at the bottom of the boot there on the forehead.
The doctors are working overtime with the bandages. His head will be bandaged, and I'm sure he'll be out here soon, Thomas Bug.
Speaking of bandages, Green, been bandaged to Hampton. Backwards he goes to Davis. High up and under. The players wait. And Miles flies off hands. They work it through. Back to Green again. Interesting to see how many he ends up with this afternoon. Little one inside to Miles, to McDonald. Now to Miles again, to half forward on the lead. Oh, well done in the end. Crashing through was Adams.
Well, you're talking about stats. Green's had 6 already, which is extraordinary. He's been off and been patched up. For a young man who's up against blokes like Montagna, Del Santo, Stephen, it's just extraordinary. One couldn't see him not playing as a key midfielder for all the sides. So, you know, the protection of playing forward flank just doesn't account for this kid. He just chases the footy.
So Adams, can he kick the Giants second from St Joseph's to Geelong Unders to the Giants from 48? It's got the carry. Has it got the accuracy? Yes, it does. They get their second and they close it to a 2-goal game.
Yeah, that's a good confidence builder for a young player. And Geary, his direct opponent, has been in really good form for St Kilda. He's probably had a breakout year later in his career development, but a positive start from Giants.
Green and Bug bandaged up and back out in the thick of it. Good on him, having a real go. Ball comes forward from Ledger. It's a dangerous one off hands. At the back, though, taken okay by Haynes to Bug. Now trying to get his hand on it, Kennedy. Did that nicely to Haynes, whose half-distance kick. That can't be paid a mark. Ball comes out quickly to Ward. Haynes again, busy. Handball fired out from Darley. They work it across to Tyson. It was nicely done and back inside to Ward, who kept running. Treloar was involved there as well. Now the kick, not bad. It got the right side for Tomlinson. He can gather. Tackling hard, a lot of pressure by Saad. That was terrific. Still he goes, though. Power at the bottom of the pack. Saad kept going as well. Handball not good. Gathered by Adams momentarily. Another loose ball. Might end up with power yet again. It does. And Green gets a kick forward. He was looking for the big ruckman Phillips coming out of the forward pocket, but the mark was taken by Ledger, and he plays on quickly and finds Cripps.
Looking forward to speaking to one of the young guns, Tommy, Jeremy Cameron, at half-time. Talk about stars on the up. Darley, little one to Tyson. And over the top did well to Green, who was off earlier with the blood rule. And he's back on and just accumulating as he's been doing all year. Little one inside to Darley. Handball errant in the end. Ends up with Sipos. One of the ins for the Saints this afternoon. Spills to Montagna. Goes back to Sipos. Now to Del Santo. Measured ball good over the top to Hayes. Del Santo to Hayes. It's happened a few times over the journey. Stanley and Wilkes deep. Now just the long ball. This time it's Wilkes. He has a couple this afternoon. Bug goes with him. Ball spills out the back. Here's a chance for Geary. He'll run all the way or will give it off late. Well, he runs all the way, and I think he's just put it across the face. So a disappointing finish.
It was a disappointing finish, but he did elect to look at first up inside. St Kilda players actually gravitated straight to the 10-yard square, which really gave him no option but to have a shot.
Game number 301 for Luke Power, and that's a nice kick out. He finds Thomas Bug, one of the bandaged brigade for GWS. 10 players out there with less than 10 games of AFL experience. It's quite extraordinary, really, isn't it, Tom?
Well, you mentioned, Hamish just mentioned Jeremy Cameron, and one of the real favourites for the Rising Stars. He's obviously not playing. You get a sense of how good their young list is when he's not playing, Dylan Shields not playing, Caniglio's not playing, Townsend's not playing. So on top of the Stars young players we've got out there today, there's still plenty sitting in the stands.
Haynes kicked in for Adams. It was a terrific mark. He did really nicely, getting high, not quite the mark. Stanley for St Kilda. Fisting away from behind was Phillips. The ball close to the line and, in fact, over.
I think Patton was another one.
Patton as well.
It hasn't had a big impact on this year, but clearly his pedigree is that he's going to be a very forceful player when he gets himself fit.
Mark Williams watching on. Interesting couple of weeks coming up for Mark Williams, with some talk that he might have his hat in the ring for the job that he used to have. That's a high ball inside 50. Good bump there. McAvoy crashing through Darley. Took the footy with him, then was wrapped up in a strong tackle. And the footy will be bounced just outside 50.
There's the skipper looking on. He'd be really... I've read today where he's rekindled his love for the game, which is fantastic. I think it's a lot to do with Scott Waters, and I think he could be very proud of the fact of what he's done at St Kilda, Scotty.
Year 6 as captain, Nick Revolt. It'll be interesting to see whether he is next year or not. Interesting in the same article, Mick, Scotty Waters saying the captaincy won't be given out to keep anyone or anything similar. It has to be earned. McDonald to half forward. Big fist from McAvoy. Here's a chance for Del Santo. Kuyu, he closes. Handball to Hayes. Sees the boundary line first.
Yeah, I don't think that was against Nick Revolt.
No, not at all.
I think it was more the fact that the question was, will Goddard get the captaincy to stay at St Kilda? And I think Scotty answered it just beautifully, as you expect from Scott Waters.
Yeah, he won't give the captaincy to anyone that doesn't deserve it. And we all agree that Nick absolutely deserves it. Malira arches his back, fires at goal. Malira, he kicks one for the Saints.
This is a ripping goal, this, because it's under real pressure to get the kick in with someone chasing you at top pace. And that's that little paddock that St Kilda developed. When the ball goes into someone else's back half, they come forward and then open it up with some terrific long kicks going into that forward line. Malira kicks, finish it off beautifully.
Look at Green fighting away in there. He won the football. It was a tough one to win, and he got his kick forward, but it might come Simpkins' way. To Lenny Hayes, sold him into trouble. Tough tackle, McDonald. A couple of tough customers there, and the ball will be bounced.
Yeah, two of my all-time favourite players, James McDonald and Lenny Hayes, and you can't underestimate the influence that players like James McDonald have had on these young Giants. Just looking at contested possession count now, 30-27 in favour of the Giants.
Interesting, he was known as Junior at the Demons. He's now known as Fossil at the Giants.
Makes sense, doesn't it? Montagna, handball back to Simpkin. They can go right back and set it up again, and they do just that. The ball, was that a mark for Wilkes? Not quite, from Dempster, who followed up well. It was his kick, and then he kept going, and Stevie Milne worked his way to the front and takes a very clever mark.
Yeah. Just a great player, Stevie Milne. You see him often on the lead, marking out. Don't see too many contested marks like that.
No, you don't, Tom. But Tommy, just on that, you're talking about those young kids. There was no work done before that ball went in there.
No.
I was watching forward of the football, and his man just gave him just enough room to be able to float across the top and take that mark.
So he's kicked a couple already this afternoon. He's kicking for his third. It could be a big day out for Stevie. He likes it. St Kilda have got their sixth.
Mickey spoke about the lack of work off the ball, and it was Kennedy on Milne. I notice now that Luke Powell looks like he's gone to Milne. At what stage would you look to make a change from a young player who's getting towed up by a senior player?
Well, you can't allow this time of the season, when he's going to go into a new season coming up, to be tailed up to the point where he loses total confidence. Because you want a kid to go into the pre-season with some idea, yes, I've been beaten, but not thrashed. So it's a good move by whoever say Sheeds or Williams.
Yep. I agree, a couple of wild old foxes on each other.
Bit of difference, isn't there, between coaches? Scotty Waters, first season, game 21. Sheeds, 28th season, game 656 as coach. So Scotty Waters, light on in experience, but their warmest of favourites this afternoon, the Saints. Callan Ward played a lot here as a dog. The one to Treloar. So as we approach quarter time, the Saints have a 25-point lead. Milne has 3, Malira 1, and Wilkes a couple.
protected area?
That's the protected area, was the area where the player was going to run off and play on. So it's a very harsh penalty for someone just anticipating where the player is going to play on from.
So Bug and Green wearing the bandages around the head, both off with the blood rule this afternoon. Big fly. Devon Smith got up early.
Get McAvoy.
So McAvoy, he's grown in stature as a footballer. He's shouldered the ruck work for a long time now. And Dempster, he ends up with it to Sipos. Sipos goes back with the flight marks in front of Haynes. One of the 5 ins this afternoon. One of the 5 players joining the Saints. Combined experience of less than 36 games. So a good opportunity for young Saints to show their wares on the big stage. Green, a little one over the top. How does it sit? Not too bad for Haynes. Takes on a few. Then runs to 50, smothered off the boot. Phillips just hacked it out of the air. Again, the Saints, though, they've got the numbers and the calm and the composure. And Del Santo takes a couple of bounces. Now streams through the middle to Wilkes. He's got to beat Davis. Davis wins the battle.
Yeah, good strong mark there from Phil Davis. Needs to show the way with the young GWS defenders. Be really hard to play against, and that was good.
Who's been involved in the action? Haynes, that's possession number 9 for the youngster. And what about this man? Toby Green, this is possession number 11, Tom.
Just knows how to find the footing all through his junior career. He didn't necessarily play in the AAS AFL Academy like a lot of his GWS teammates, but just has a knack of knowing where the ball is. And Gubby Allen said you can't ignore that with the young player when he knows how to find the footy.
Farron Ray did that well out to Geary, who then got it to Gwilt. The handball not so good to Gilbert. And Geary had to be careful. He bounced the football. It got away from him momentarily, but that's better. Cripps back to Gilbert. Long kick now, and waiting under it is Sipos. He marks Green, trying to put some pressure on, and in the end he did put a bit of pressure on. Well done, young fella. Look at him working back into the defence. It's all right to go forward, but working back, the hardest thing in footy to do. He's done that beautifully. Off to Smith. That was possession number 12 for Green. McAvoy under this one, and he'll mark opposed to Phillips.
I agree with Tom's analysis. Just looking at his running patterns, he's got an innate ability to read the play, but then add his mental capacity to push himself from contest to contest. That's what's going to give him consistency in the AFL.
McAvoy, he was hoping for Del Santo, off hands.
This is just interesting here. We just watched Goddard fall over and follow up, and watch him here. He wants to take someone out and gets sat on his backside. So he's not having a great day, and you just wonder that about where his mind is at the moment, because he can be so good and yet he can be so disappointing at times.
Sard, little steal and then quickly to half forward. That was pretty neat and tidy in the end, wasn't it? Ends up with Stanley, top of the square. Goddard, who Mick was just speaking about, well, he uses his body perfectly this time against Haynes.
There's a difference.
Yep.
There's a real difference. The other one, he took his eye off the ball at the last moment. Nothing to worry about, just simply want to play on. But this one here, he had to make up for it. Give him a nice little shove too in the side, though.
Well, any score here, and it is the Saints' biggest first term of the year. They've equalled it with 6-2. That was against North Melbourne earlier in the year. Goddard fires at goal, kicks a goal. 7-2. Good opening term for the Saints. They've done well, and they enjoy a 31-point lead at quarter time at Etihad Stadium. Green has been prolific. 12 possessions in the first term. Looking forward to speaking to Kevin Sheedy on the other side of the break about the young Giants. Saints in control, quarter time on a Saturday afternoon.
For the Saints in that opening term. St Kilda 7-2, 44, GWS 2-1, 13. St Kilda's lead 31 points. Stevie Milne with 3 goals, and Sipos, one of the inclusions this week, with 9 possessions. And Toby Green, well, we just can't sing his praises highly enough. 12 disposals, and Callan Ward with 12 as well. Let's get down to Brett Kirk with Kevin Sheedy.
Sheeds, what do you like about the first quarter?
Well, look, I mean, I'm not happy about the scoreboard, obviously, because letting get that late goal hurt us, and Milne's such a damn good player. But look, I think from our point of view, we had more possessions than them, and we got it inside 50, probably as many as what we have most of the first quarter of a year. And I think that, I think once the boys settle, a couple of younger boys have played 3 to 5 games, probably Reece Kuyu. The next quarter or two, they'll get a bit more confidence in the game. I think that'll be handy for us.
Toby Green started well. You just had a chat to him. What did you have to say?
Oh, look, there's a couple of times where he holds on to it. I just like to get him to kick it further and let the boys up the rest of the ground get it because he does run, he does create it every now and then. He gets pinged and we don't get the value out of his possession. So I like him to get it up there and kick the damn thing every now and then. But I mean, he's such a damn good player. He gets tagged and he still gets 9. So good luck to him. We all wish he would have a career like him.
Thanks for your time, Sheets.
No worries.
Good on you, Kirky, and well done, Kevin Shetty. Can't win the Rising Star because of an indiscretion earlier in the year, which I know has sparked some debate about whether the Rising Star needs to be for the fairest and best or just the best young player.
It's a bit of a shame, really, because I think he probably would win it. I mean, he's had another outstanding first quarter with 12 disposals. Interestingly enough, the Giants have had one more of the footy, 103 disposals to 94.
Green on cue, gets his hands on the football again, and a heap of Saints just hold him up. Last Jeremy Cameron, who he would award the Rising Star to at halftime when we speak to him, Tommy. He's got to be right up there, doesn't he?
I was going to say, he's a modest young fellow. I don't think he'll nominate himself as the Rising Star winner, but he's also had an outstanding one of 7 of the Giants nominations at this point of the year.
Sipos over the top, knocked it down. Treloar couldn't control it. Hayes dished it out to Stephen, and he crashes it to half forward. Goddard just throws Hampton away, steps inside. The one back was pretty good in the end. Now Cripps to full forward. Wilkes is there. Davis, double fist, ends up marking the ball. I don't think he meant to, but it worked out pretty well. Now to Green and to Darley. Quickly, on he goes. Well, Wilson just went underneath it in the end. McDonald, Farron Ray will speak to him just on half-time, put the tackle on, and Wilson runs over with the ball. You speak about this young side. Ward and Power and McDonald have played 643 games between them. The rest of the side, just 248.
Yeah, and I think you're saying about Ward. I mean, Ward's the bottom end of those.
Yeah, he's only
two other ones.
He's played, what has he played? This is his 77th. I mean, it's just remarkable how little football these guys have played. 13 teenagers today.
Well,
No price for
what
it.
we've spoken about, Tom and myself off air, is the potential of the players that aren't playing with the ones that are playing out there. This is going to be a super side in a couple of years, Tommy.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think I really like their list build. I like the fact that they went with their uncontracted players with Scully and Ward and Davis. When they've got longevity, 8 to 10 years left in their career. And the experience they're gaining from the likes of Power and Chad Corns and the guys who have been premiership players and they can pass, really what it takes to succeed. I like it.
Hayes backward to Simpkin, and Gwilt just comes in, steadies the ship a little and goes to Montagna. Where do you think Brendan Goddard will be next year, Tommy?
Well, I'd love for him to sign, to be perfectly honest, Hamish. I mean, it's been a tough year for St Kilda, and I just think all the speculation, if you're a one-club player, just make it known, put pen to paper, and then go into the pre-season with a really positive attitude.
Gilbert to Dempster to half forward to the man that Tommy was talking about. Goddard onto the left. Well, the ball was meant for Sard, off hands in the end. And Green just turns it over, and Malira, he can go back and try and kick his second.
I'm just looking at Green, the way he's playing. We know he's a very, very talented young player. He's getting a lot of football in the back 50. And I know the ball probably spends a lot more time back there. But I'm just wondering whether he's actually now getting to a bit of a habit of just falling in behind the football. A good on-baller. And he'll learn this as he gets older. You've got to push forward.
So Malira had a standout year in the SANFL for Port Adelaide last year, traded by the GWS for pick 20. Hayden Crozier ended up at the Giants. He's got 2 for the afternoon, does Terry.
Couple of goals now for Malera, and with that St Kilda with the last 4 goals of the game, so really starting to get on top. It's the Saints by 37 points. McAvoy got his hand to it. Hayes to Del Santo, then eventually worked forward by Ledger. He went looking for Montagna. Well done, Tyson. Found the footy on the ground. He handballs inside. Miles got it off towards half forward. The kick went. Well done by the first camer again. Kuyu involved. It's out Tyson's way. That was a good tackle. Ledger putting his body over the football at the bottom of the pack. GWS, they worked it out nicely, and the kick not quite the mark, so Gwilt with a handball. He's worked it okay. The clearing kick, not the best, would have been a goal from Dempster. Well, interesting.
I wonder if he's going to call that deliberate. No, it won't be deliberate, but
I suppose technically you could, although he was under pressure.
I wonder if Dempster's going to claim the goal. He's only kicked 17 in his career. Hasn't kicked one this year. He won't add to it. Ledger, Montagna just gets rolling. Callan Ward almost closed him down, got the handball away, and Malira now inside 50. Look at Milne, he's on the end of it. Wilkes too. Wilkes, well, he'll end up with it. I thought the ball was going over the top, 5 or 6 metres deeper to Milne, but Wilkes did well. You speak about players. I heard you, Mick, talking Jonathan Giles, how 4 years not getting a game. Bo Wilkes just 23 games with the Eagles. He's going to play a role in the absence of Nick Riewoldt at the end of this year.
And not only this year, Hamish, there's just once he learns the code of Scotty Waters, he'll be there for a long time.
Well, Wilkes this time puts it across the face. I mean, opportunities come for people through different circumstances, but with Nick doing his knee, he's really been the go-to man.
Oh, he's kicked bags before. I think he kicked 5. There was a game where he got taken off the ground. He kicked 3 or 4. He could come off the ground at three-quarter time, and he's been very impressive.
Hampton short then to Haynes. He drives the ball towards the outer side, trying to mark was Tomlinson, fisted away from behind. That was a good spoil by Simpkin and over the line for a boundary throw-in.
We have spent a lot of time talking about the Giants' young players, but there are some really young players out there for St Kilda as well who are not playing for careers, obviously, but would really like to flex their muscles against a young side, and Simpkin and Sipos, Cripps, these sorts of players. Big game for them also.
Yeah, they've got 3 players of their own with less than 10 AFL games, and one of them a debutant who is the sub at the moment, Seb Ross, playing his first game.
And he is, as you mentioned earlier, Tim Watson's nephew. There's a bit of pedigree out there. Curtly Hampton is Gilbert McAdams' nephew, and the debutant, Reece Kuyu, is Michael Mitchell from the Tigers in the late 80s, early 90s nephew.
What a star he was. Here's Montagna, outside 50, sends it back long. Terrific mark. Stanley ripped it in. He kept his eye on the footy and marks in the square, and he'll go back from dead in front and kick a goal.
Well, I just know that Scotty Waters absolutely enjoys this player. We studied him last year and the year before. Scott Waters was the defensive coach. He watched him and thought, this kid is untapped.
Kept his eye on the footy all the way into the hands. St Kilda have their 9th goal of the afternoon.
Well, Mick spoke about how much Scott Waters loves the work of Reece Stanley. This is a great effort. Not only it's a terrific mark, but if you remember from last Friday night, he had that sickening collision with Tom Lonergan. He was taken off to hospital. There was fears about a collapsed lung and broken ribs, and to go back with a fly to the ball like that shows extreme courage.
Yeah, well summed up, Tommy. It's only a week ago, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. And I mean, there were those scenes. He had the Ventolin puffer, and he was on it, looked like a bit of a drip, so his comeback has been extraordinary. Well done.
Del Santo, little weighted ball over the top to Stephen, didn't sit for him, had to just wait for it to settle. Gave it off, little one to Geary. Now the ball just tumbles forward. Del Santo, nice sit for him, then takes on power onto the left, over the top of Sard's head. Green goes back. Well, Green, was he taken high? He was.
Up high. Slipped up high. Right there, Arnold.
It'd be good to play a plot all young Toby Green's possessions. I've got half a feeling most of them would be from centre back at this stage. Perhaps because the ball is because of the opponents, but I hope he doesn't get into a habit of falling in behind the ball. I know he works very hard, but you can fall for a trap like that.
Giles, Nunes, a little one over the top, sort of weighted towards a pack of players, no one in particular, and Davis just paddles and slams it onto his left, outside 50. Gilbert will get there first. Bouncing ball, just waits for it, goes inside. Geary's on the end of it, back to Gilbert. Short ball, play on not 15 to Goddard, and he squeezes it through traffic to Hayes, to Geary, and now over the top, Wilkes, he waits. Well, in the end, couldn't quite take it. The desperation was pretty good in the end, and just the minor score.
I think, Mick, it's a difficult one for Green because the Giants are defending so much. He has to push back to help the defence.
No, it's fair, Kirky. I understand that if you're getting dominated each week, you will fall back, but sometimes you can get into a habit of it.
Green, incidentally, up to 15 possessions now. Stanley went high, couldn't quite mark that one. Giles down at the bottom of that pack, working hard. So too is Stephen for the Saints, and the ball will be bounced just outside 50.
Mick, how much satisfaction do you get as a coach when you've got a young player and you really start to see them develop and you sort of tinker with little nuances of their game?
Well, what you do is it's like the acorn, and you see this oak starting to grow, and of course you're part of it. It depends on his work ethic and so forth, but some of these players, their work ethic is just great. They learn from the masters.
Nunes ends up with a football. He got it from Stephen. That's an excellent finish from there. 40 metres out on the run, and St Kilda have their 10th goal.
Yeah, good play by Jack Stephen, and a good follow-up. You need to be in the right place at the right time. News was, and of course he's very, very proud of kicking goal, the 10th goal, puts him 50 points in front, so it's a terrific result for him.
And Mick kicks his first in his AFL career, a bleach short just in game 6. They punch forward again. Davis is there, couldn't take it. Goddard mops up around the corner. I think he tried to put it to the top of the square, almost floats through. Well, Ahmed Saad, he's been paid the mark, went back. Well done.
This is going to test the run-up.
He's going to end up in the stands, Matt.
Well, by rights, that's where he should be.
Well, you pointed it out against the Demons. It's 28 to 32 steps, the run-up, and then the last 3 are a jog. This is Stevie J-curve territory. Have they learnt the Giants? They close in. Ahmed Saad, too clever for them all.
He doesn't need that long run-up.
Well, we've said before about blowouts, and this is probably one of the downers of the Greater Western Sydney's year, has been a very low percentage and getting belted. They're already 56 points behind, and this is where I guess the senior players step in, but they haven't got a lot of senior players to help out.
It's been a really positive performance by the Saints so far. They're missing some senior players themselves. Obviously, their captain Nick Revol's not playing. Jewel Beston Ferrier, Sam Fisher, Jason Graham's not playing. Kazitsky was omitted, I'm led to believe. So they've got some young players playing. Saad's had a terrific year. Great for Malira to come in. Nunes has kicked a goal. So it's been some real positives from the Saints also.
Saad's first goal for the afternoon, 27 now for the season. In his 14th, make it 15th AFL appearance, the 22-year-old. He's been a good story of the year, actually, hasn't he?
He has. It's a great story for perseverance. And I mean, a lot's been spoken about his goal-kicking technique. I love it. The fact that he's got one, he knows the routine, he's become very reliable, and he's been a massive contributor to the Saints.
Yeah, he sticks by his guns. It'd be easy for a younger player to be put off by heckling and people talking about the run-up. It's got a lot of television attention and on the radio, but he's just stuck to his plan and it works for him.
He'd be absolutely flattered also, Baz, that you watched his routine so closely and knew exactly what he was going to do and alerted the rest of the nation.
28 to 32. I'll remember those numbers for the rest of my life. Ahmed Saad, how many steps on the run-up? Ball now inside 50. And here he is again, Green. He got it from McDonald. The kick towards Gilbert. Tyson did well, just worried him out of it. Gathered now by Adams, who runs around Gilbert, looks upfield. Where's this one heading? Towards Devon Smith. Geary there as well. And the ball over the line.
The Saints' intensity is definitely up. They've had twice as many tackles as GWS so far.
Thanks, Kirky. I read online that Ahmed Saad feels he's a cross between Sirioli and Buddy Franklin. Which is not a bad player. Gwilt just can't control it for the moment. Does well, paddles it back. Desperation in the end from Simpkin.
Have you ever said you're a cross between Bruce McAvaney and Ron Burgundy, Hamish?
more Ron Burgundy, I think.
Right.
Anchorman 2 coming out shortly. Should be an absolute beauty.
Oh, they've called this deliberate, haven't they?
Right, Adam. That's
Certainly
it, Jared.
appeared that.
Just back a metre. That's it.
Okay, well, Tomlinson will not go for goal. This is dangerous territory. Milne, the big fly over. Old McDonald plays on quickly, and they're away here, the Saints. Everyone was setting up for Tomlinson to kick a goal. It might be a goal at the other end. Stanley, little under Cripps, inside 50, fires at goal, end to end, coast to coast. That was quick.
What an extraordinary passage of play. You can see exactly what Adam Tomlinson was trying to do, and it's probably the selfless thing, but that's just too far to go back. Used to seeing Stephen Milne do his best work down the other end of the ground. It just goes to show you how fast these AFL players can move the ball from coast to coast, and that becomes a training drill. Still a very good finish from Cripps.
I was worried he wasn't going to finish because it was sort of so exciting it needed a goal, but it was as Mick alluded to, Malira on the run quickly earlier. Similar sort of a scenario, wasn't it? Top pace and...
Yeah, and they're the goals that you really put down to great concentration on that last step. The last step in a run has to be a kicking step. If it's still a running step, it'll go anywhere.
St Kilda up to 76 points now, 12-4-76. That eclipses their best first half effort, round 7 on them Monday night. They had 71 at half-time against Carlton, so they are really motoring along here. Treloar out wide for Green, possession number 17 inside the first half. He's on track for 40. We've talked about how many 30-pluses he's had. He may get 40 today. Tyson towards half-forward. Ward rove that beautifully, then ran into trouble. Malera ducked his head, got around the tackle, worked it out to Farron Ray. Now Lenny. Del Santo, he looks upfield, outer side, Dempster running for him, and they can set up again. He contemplates the short one, ignores that, goes down towards Wilkes, who couldn't quite mark. Darley did okay there. Handball up, and McDonald got back to help out, and a clearing kick towards the wing. Not bad in the end, and Tomlinson's got it.
That bit of play by Del Santo was outstanding. He was cornered in on this side of the ground. He looked across and he watched the player probably 60, 70 metres away and put the ball out in front of him so he could run onto it. It's amazing, these decision-making players. They can last in the game for so much longer than just natural talent.
Taylor Adams.
Jonathan Giles against Tom Simpkin.
Jonathan Giles, you're free.
Got the feeling Hoskin-Elliott thought there might have been some advantage there and just rolled on through.
You know, I think he had a case to answer for there, Hoskin-Elliott. He clearly took the advantage.
So Giles on the power list for 4 years, no games, just missed 2 this year. Hoskin-Elliott flies, one hand, couldn't bring it in.
Tom, just looking at Reece Stanley, he's such a big boy, and the game last week against Geelong, that's where Hawkins really got them defensively. They haven't got a big guy down back. Has he played down back, or could he play down back, do you think?
I think he's certainly got the physical attributes, Kirky, to play down back, more so across half-back than full-back, but it seems to me that even under Ross Lyon and now with Scott Waters, they're really grooming him as the heir apparent to Nick Revolt, got the same sort of physical attributes, and we've already seen that mark that he took today, so I'd persevere as a forward.
Sipos in the back pocket, chips it short and finds Farron Ray.
When he won the grand final sprint, Reece Stanley, you saw that blistering pace, didn't you? For a big man, he's got some serious wheels. I mean, he stands at 2 metres tall.
Farron Ray did that nicely, got around Giles, then sends a long one down in the Goddard direction. In front, though, Wilkes. He read it well and marked. Wants to get the ball moving quickly. Milne's down in that direction. We've already seen him take a high mark. He wasn't the high marking option. Stanley kind of left it for him, and then Goddard kicked the ball into the back of Milne. That was interesting. Interesting in that it wasn't that good. Miles, he worked it around to Davis, and now the footy's with Adams. Handball over the top. It's okay. They've worked it out all right. McDonald again. He got it from Treloar, and he gives pretty good kick. And the mark taken by Hoskin-Elliott on the lead, just backward of the wing. Sends it towards half forward. Gilbert. They had plenty of numbers around that contest. Here's Cripps. Works back inboard, and they're open now and away. Farron Ray, he can run with a foot. He loves to do that. He's had a couple of bounces. Goes short and hits Stevie Milne on the chest.
Yeah, it's all a bit too easy at the moment. The one-on-ones are failing because the players are too reactionary. And it's understandable with young players, but they're really getting caught just man-watching more than just summing up the play.
Well, this won't surprise anyone, but Stevie Milne with 3 goals, 1 today. He's had 4 disposals, so
4 kicks.
4 kicks. So all of his action on goal. And another one coming up. 50 goals for the season coming in today, so kicking for his 54th from just outside the 50. Little man, good kick, great finish.
It's going to be an interesting round 23. Pav, will he or won't he play on Sunday afternoon football? He's on 60 goals leading the common. Jack Revolt 59, Petrie 55. Right now, Stevie Milne on 54. We've got a half and change to play.
Stevie Milne, you'd know this because you're a numbers man. Hamish, what year was he born?
Stevie Milne, from memory, 1980.
And who won the premiership that year?
Oh, Mick, you'll have to tell me that number.
The Tigers.
I know.
Such a long time
Can you
ago.
remember who was playing in that, Mick?
I reckon if we could sort of transplant Stevie Milne back into 1980, Mick would have stood on Stevie Milne. How would you have gone playing against Stevie?
Literally.
I reckon there would have been a match review panel during the week chatting away. Jonathan Giles, plenty of blood. Stevie Milne, 4 for the afternoon, 6 off Pavlich. Pavlich may or may not play.
What if he played for the Tigers? Who would have got more of the action into goal? Kevin Bartlett or Stevie Milne?
That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Hayes to Cripps, runs inside 50. Can he get another? He can. Cripps, he's on fire. The Saints on song.
Jamie Cripps has really shown some good signs this year, and that was just some of the class to finish like he did just then.
There's Justin Kazitsky watching on. I'm sure he'd love to be out there. Had a very quiet game last week, just the one possession before he was subbed off. Here's McAvoy working hard both ends of the ground. Handball ends up with Farron Ray. It came from Sipos. Stephen worked his way through the middle, and now Lenny. They're on the burst again, St Kilda, and the kick was wonderful to Stanley. Dropped the chest mark. St Kilda had done everything perfectly, just not the finish. Sard pushed out.
Go through.
Yes, McAvoy's he's been a real terrific player for them too, hasn't he? Yeah, it's a definite push in the back. And against Lukey Powell, he's plays in the back pocket. Probably, I'd say, 15% of his career. And
I think in the premiership years, he spent a lot of time down in the back pocket in 2001, 2 and 3.
Should we count them, Tom?
You can, Baz.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Boring television. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is a new record.
No, that's it.
Oh, he's gone past it. The last 3 he kicks
And misses.
And that was, you said it was always 28 to 32,
34,
and that's
yeah.
exactly what it was.
There you go. Set routine.
I think he pushed. I think that was sort of 33, 34, hence the miss.
He knew the
Baz,
cameras
time to
were
get
on
down to Seaford. Bit of goal kicking practice.
The Zemplis is delighted Basil can count on national television.
Look out, he might get an opportunity here. Haim or Goddard bursting his way through short.
And Montagna is on the end of it.
that's well done by Brendan Goddard. That is very, very well done. Unselfish football. Gain possession of the football. You see here, takes it away. And just out of the corner of his eye, he sees his friend Joey Montagna. So it's a wonderful piece of play.
Just want to point out, Haim, I didn't lose count. He just got too fast for me.
Montagna, he sneaks it through. Was there a number you were hoping he didn't get to? You ran out?
Shane Warne played in the curtain raiser today. He was in the forward pocket. He looked pretty handy. We're going to give you a glimpse of Shane Warne out in the middle, not in the whites, but in the footy gear. And that's coming up at half-time. St Kilda got it down from Giles to Power, and that's a good mark. Sipos.
He's had a good first half, Sipos. Young play. He's a good size, really good size, uses the ball pretty well, so he'd be getting a lot of confidence out of this. And as Mick touched on, when you're out of the finals, these last couple of games are really important.
Simpkin in trouble. Good tackle. That was well done by Tomlinson. He worried him out of it. They go again, though, the Saints. Handball over the top. Geary gets out of the tackle. Handball back to Dempster. And now across goal. Good vision to Stephen. If it pitches for him, he can go. It pitches now and away he goes. Gets around Adams. Keeps going through the middle. The kick a little bit too much on it for Milne. Got it back to Milne. Exciting stuff. Here's Stevie kicking for his fifth. Around the body, just offline.
I wonder if that hand pass could have been there. Tommy, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of occasions in Stephen Milne's career where it could have been there, but I'd back him in. That's his bread and butter, so I wouldn't get too upset about that.
I reckon he had Coleman just in his mind. 87 points, the largest lead St Kilda have ever enjoyed at half-time. That's in danger right now. 81 points the lead, little one inside. Dempster to Goddard. Now Wilkes, he's got Haynes to beat. Wilkes, well, through hands in the end. He got himself in the right position.
Mick and I, you still speak a lot to Scotty Waters, there's St Kilda box there. Has he said anything specific about Sean Dempster? He's really flourished into a top-line defender this year.
Absolutely. He just. I've always said to Scotty, tell me, who are the players that you thought are better than what you thought? And Dempster's the first one that comes to his mind. Just so disciplined, so strong. Use him anywhere, does the job.
Devon Smith, Del Santo chased hard, put him under a bit of pressure.
Great team player, Shawnee Dempster. Just, you know what you're going to get from him every week. You can trust him on any job.
Why did he come down? What did Sydney lose faith in him, Kirky?
Oh, I don't think it was a loss of faith. I think him and Adam Schneider, I think it was around the Swans becoming successful and salary cap pressure and all that type of stuff.
I actually read an article on Dempster. He didn't really know he was even going until very late in the piece. Big career premiership player in his first year, almost dual premiership player inside a couple of seasons.
Played in 5 grand finals. He's been a fantastic player this year. Simpkin, I think, has also developed. So St Kilda, they have got some bright lights coming through because they have had some champion players in, obviously, Revolt, Kaczynski, Hayes, Milne, Del Santo. Time for the next brigade to come through.
Simpkin on cue takes the strong mark. And Mick, I'll give you some thinking time, but the same question to you that you put to Scotty Waters. Who over your career surprised you most when you got to the club or developed into a player that you didn't see them developing into? Sard, shorter run-up, goes to Malira. Malira and Sard been impressive this afternoon, both to Montagna. Farron Ray will speak to him this afternoon. Jeremy Cameron at half-time. Milne on the end of it. He marks in front of Barg and he'll get 50 and he'll get 5.
Second action. White push.
So 5 before half-time for just the second time in his career. First time he did that, he kicked 11. That was against Brisbane. So Milne has 5 and the Saints lead by 87.
So in the Coleman medal watch, that's 5 goals now behind Matthew Pav. There's still a bit of a question mark whether Pav will play against Freo tomorrow. Stevie Milne's got a little penchant for round 22, kicked 11 against the Brisbane Lions here back in 2005.
Yeah, 50-50 I reckon the Pav tomorrow. Big game against North Melbourne. And Stevie has got one thing and one thing only on his mind now, hasn't he? A big, big bag.
And so he should. So he should. I mean, he's a terrific player. He's a team player, no doubt about that. But he would be sniffing a bag here, no doubt about it.
As you sniff around Western Australia every day, is Pav playing tomorrow afternoon or not?
Was that a nose joke, Kame? I reckon he's 50-50 probably, and certainly that was the word coming out of Ross Lyon when he flew to Melbourne on Friday. So, look, he's very resilient, and if he does play, he goes past Glenn Jakovic's record of 276 games, the most by a Western Australian-based player, and you don't get to 277 without being highly resilient. So, look, I'd bet in his favour, and it's such a big game for them. Incidentally, the century is up for St Kilda in Warnie's presence, something he was never able to do. 99 with the bat at the Wacker, 102, 16-6. This is their 2,239th AFL game, and only the 5th time in all of those games that they've had over 100 points at half-time.
That's remarkable, isn't it?
The previous biggest half-time lead was 76 points. That's this season, North Melbourne over GWS, and currently it's at 87 points.
Which is their biggest lead ever at half-time. That was against the Blues in 04. So records tumbling this afternoon. Basil, Mac is going to be impressed with your work this afternoon.
Here's Farron Ray exploding away, and he did the unselfish thing over the top to Sard. The kick not perfect, made Sard wait. Here's Stevie lining up for number 6. There's the little pump fake. As
and
if
the fake
to say, I'm going short. Yeah.
Emphasis on the word fake.
Surprise, surprise, he runs around, he's kicking for goal, number 6. Don't think it's got the accuracy. They're going to fly in the square through the hands of Stanley. Could have done better there, he really should have marked. Well done, Ward, he got it from Tyson, close to the line. The Bandaged brothers combine. Green got it from Bug. Tyson's lost it, they might get a goal yet. Montagna, it was smothered. Hampton got his kick out of danger. Now what? Bouncing ball towards the middle of the ground, and Simpkin can reload for the Saints.
Goes short. Over the top in the end, and Gwilt will have to chase it. Goddard gets there first. Little one back to Gwilt. He retreats. So back to Simpkin, and now to McAvoy. Dempster's free. McAvoy goes in that direction now. Where's Stevie Milne? He's got 5 for the afternoon, 55 for the year. Pavlich sits on 60, and Milne's got a half to play. You'd almost think he's a good show of getting there. Montagna, he's got a sense of theatre. He'll go searching for Milne. Montagna, he'll be right on his distance, Mick, and Tommy, you'd think, wouldn't he?
There's no question about that. They've got 17 Greater Western Sydney players inside the back 50. in reality, they're filling up any short gap, so he has to have the shot here.
Well, if he kicks a score of any kind, it's the Saints' largest lead ever at half-time. Journey is okay. Accuracy is good. And it's the Saints by 93 points at half-time. Whatever way you do the numbers and whoever you're playing, that's a big lead.
Yeah, their form's been outstanding. That's a bit disappointing, to be honest, from the Giants' point of view. That last one in, had every player back there, couldn't get it through for a point.
Well, let's go down to Kirky. He's with Farron Ray. He'll be happy with the first half.
Farron, what was the focus coming into today?
Yeah, main focus is probably our ball use. They tend to get numbers back at times, so we just got to use the width of the oval and then really spread, and even go down the corridor as well.
Yeah, and with the margins being so big at half-time, is there a danger the boys can be complacent after half-time?
No, we can't get complacent. I mean, we're treating this as rehearsals for next year. So, I mean, finals is out of the question probably, but we need to finish strong this second half. So,
and which senior players at half-time will be reminding you to make sure you keep refocused?
Oh, yeah, Nicky Dow, Lenny, Joey, boys like that. But the whole team needs to take ownership of that.
Thanks, mate. Good luck.
Thanks.
Kirky with Farron Ray. On the other side of the break, Shane Warne, Jeremy Cameron. Fair bit going on at Etihad. The Saints by 93 points at half-time over the Giants.
3 points is St Kilda's lead at the main break. It could be a famous match ball today, and it could be yours, signed by the winning team for your chance to win a precious piece of sporting memorabilia. Simply go to ballsforlife.com.au to bid for not only today's match ball, but for any ball from any game this weekend. Let's go down to Kirky. Some news on the subs, Brett.
That's right, Basil. The sub's been activated. James McDonald's taken the red vest, and Matty Bunteen has come on. Played under 18s at Dandenong and showed great leadership potential in the AIS program last year.
Yeah, terrific young fella, Matty Bunteen. As Kirky touched on, part of the AFL AIS Academy. I was lucky enough to mentor him in one of those roles and just had a real appetite for work, a real appetite to learn about the game, and I've got no doubt that he'll reward the Giants from their top 5 pick in the draft last year. He's going to be a very talented player and a leader of the footy club in the future.
So 93 points is St Kilda's lead at half-time, the 9th largest lead of all time. And if you're wondering, 120 points is the greatest ever half-time lead. The Brisbane Bears over the Sydney Swans back in 1993.
And that man on screen, Sebastian Ross, the nephew of Tim Watson. His AFL career gets underway right now. Bouncing ball inside 50.
Push.
Looks like Lenny Hayes has come off for young Sebastian Ross to have a go today.
Back here, Steve. Steve, come
So
back.
out with the old, in with the new, Kirky.
Correct. Old bull and young bull.
Absolutely. Haynes just on the outer side. And if you've just joined us, it's a big lead at half-time, and Stephen Milne has 5 to half-time. He's on 55 for the season. Pavlich leads the Coleman on 60. Of course, that doubt as to whether he will play this afternoon. Lenny Hayes in the red vest. Sebastian Ross debuting right now for the Saints. Stanley couldn't quite take it. Lurking around the place. Milne, Goddard gave it to Wilkes. Milne wanted it. Wilkes top of the sort of dangerous territory, and well done in the end. Flying was Bunteen, who's come on for McDonald. Green, he's got rid of the taping from the first half around the head. He was on fire, Green, earlier. That is touch 18. The ball spills over. A game within a game. Will Stephen Milne equal or go better than his record of 11 in a match, Tom Harley, Mick Malthouse?
Oh, it's hard to see him kicking 11, really. The game could fall that way, but more importantly, it's whether the Saints can win by a couple hundred points.
Well, their greatest ever margin, 139. That was against the Lions in 05, and on that day, Milne did kick 11.
Well, it'd be almost, I mean, it sounds terrible, but well, sounds incomprehensible that they'd be disappointed if they didn't win by that much, I reckon, because they've set themselves up here, and I think they're a developing side, and Scott Waters have been encouraging them to put the foot down. They've got a team on the ropes by the jugular and really need to get the job done.
Bug got a quick kick out, and they've done well to keep that in momentarily, and then the ball eventually over the line. And well, for the record, 190 points is the greatest winning margin of all time.
You can't set yourself those things either. You've still got to go through the process, and I think that's where people make a lot of mistakes. I will chase a scoreline, but if you stick to the basics and stick to your game plan, those things just come about.
Yep.
So Green, I'm not sure that was a possession. There is the first gamer, Sebastian Ross. Well done, young man. He'll remember who he got the football across to. It was Stephen Milne. He kicks long, not a good kick, and Callan Ward, the only man in the area. Pretty simple mark above his head.
Sebastian Ross is a left footer, really composed with the footy, appetite for the contest.
Phil Davis there, slip of the tongue, power. And now the mark taken by the first gamer, Reece Kuyu, one of the other first gamers out on the park, and a little one from Power towards the wing. Tough bouncing ball, going in hard to meet it. Cripps, and that was well done. Across to Geary, ran the boundary, then cut back inboard. Nicky D, short one. Kick not great for Dempster, had to wait for it. This might be holding the ball. Didn't look like an attempt, but...
No, on evidence, Baz, that big scoreline, Saints have gone back into third gear. They really haven't put the foot on the accelerator at all so far.
McAvoy to Stephen. Smothered ball. Power, as he's done all his career, finds himself in the mayhem. Now at the back comes Adams, over the top, loose ball. It'll sit for Wilson. He's got the pace. Sard, he chases, just grabs it in one hand. Wilson, he starts to run. Well, the well-weighted ball was meant for Hoskin-Elliott, but Sipos got a hand onto it and then picked it up and gave it off to Simpkin, and suddenly the Saints have got a heap of space. And Gilbert will just drift onto the left and go forward. This time Wilkes is on the end of it, dropped the easy ball, had time to give it off to Montagna. Montagna now, a bounce. He'll run to about 55. No one at home for the Saints, just Giles for the Giants, and quickly they play on. They work it through, and they've got, again, no one really downtown. Ball over the top, Bugger's going to be there, but Dempster will get front spot.
That's the part of the game that he's taken to another level. He's almost become the best contested mark intercept player in the competition. I'd really love to see Sean Dempster in the All-Australian side this year.
Stanley drifting in from the side, couldn't mark. Davis got a handball across and fired forward. They've done that okay. That was nicely done by Devon Smith. It ends up with Tyson, and Miles was involved there. Now the centering ball for Bunteen.
Would that mean that Tom's on the selection panel by suggesting that he should have? Tommy, are you on it?
No, I'm not on the panel, no, but I'm happy to lobby for him for sure.
You're on the power coaching panel. Can you give us a bit of an insight?
No, I can't. Mick?
Where's my name coming in?
Just a quick question, Tom. If a CV came forward as an applicant from Mick Malthouse...
I'll be derelict in your duty not to look at it, I think, Baz, but I certainly won't be making the final decision.
On a panel, I wonder if Mark Williams, and there is some talk around about Mark Williams. I mean, in many ways, Hamish seems like almost a perfect fit to go back to Port Adelaide. Now,
don't ask Hamish. We've got the bloke here. We've got him right here. Tom Harley is part. In fact, he will determine who will be coach. I've been told insiders he is the man.
Everyone trying to shift the blame off everyone up here.
Will Mark Williams coach at the Power next year, Tommy?
There's a process to go through, Hamish, and we'll make sure that we adhere to that very closely.
Well, while we're on it, Roll, shall we ask Mick some questions?
I'm going to put my mouth guard in before I do.
You went through the mark, he went around.
Anything you want to say, Mick?
I'll just say this. I told you the Saints are off the boil because they haven't scored in 5 minutes of football and they've been mucking around for the ball.
Always a danger when teams get big margins going at half-time. The intensity drops off, can play a bit too individual.
So here he is, the first gamer, Kuyu, swings it around the body. First goal from the young man. Well done.
Yeah, a number of St. boys flying for the ball. Kuyu stays down beautifully, actually, right in the right spot for that ball. It had to fall forward and slammed around his body and kicks the goal. That'd be his first kick, surely. So there's another one that joins that club. That your club, Tom.
I'm in that club, yes.
First time Reece Kuyu went to football training, he was too shy to go out and train. He sat there for a week or two, and then his father said, "How's it all going?" And he told him that he hadn't actually had the courage to go out, and he took him back the next week, and now he's playing AFL football. Fabulous story. He's got a goal. Was it his first goal?
It was, yeah. And he's
fantastic.
The nephew of Michael Mitchell, who played 81 games for Richmond. Fitting that he's making his debut in round 22, because it was round 22 in 1990 that Michael Mitchell kicked the goal of the year at the SCG Richmond against Sydney. 7 bounces, 70 metres.
Adams, a little one to it. Dom Tyson, and they work it through. This is Kuyu, who, as we said, the nephew of Michael Mitchell, and the ball just spills wide. Hoskin-Elliott inside to Miles. They've got the run here. Bouncing ball, tough one in the end. Kennedy couldn't control it. Hoskin-Elliott just ragdolled over.
It was great to see the reception of the young Giants players get around Reece Kuyu with his first goal, and we saw last night on Friday Night Footy with Nick O'Brien kicking his first kick was a goal for the Bombers last night. So those little moments are great, and they'll be treasured forever from those individual players.
Now Green, well, he gets ridden into the ground. He'll get the free kick started really quickly, Green, possession-wise. He was into sort of the dozen or so, I think, in the first term. Disposal 20 now, works it inside. The one to Bunteen, who started as sub, and McDonald sits on the pine and watches on. Bunteen, well-weighted ball to Tomlinson. Bounce was pretty fierce, did okay, but Sard corralled and took him to ground. Giants have got a bit of support. Treloar picks up. Now the high up and under. Who's there for the Giants? Ward is there. But in the end, it's all the Saints, and Gwilt again just sends it wide. Farrenray, beautiful ball to him. And the former dog looks forward, and there's not a lot on, so Gilbert just runs, and the ball might just be perfect for him. He doesn't break stride. Bo Wilkes just sends him forward, doubles back. Wilkes, well, outplayed in the end, and the Giants, they get let off the hook in the end. It looked like Wilkes was the long option, cut off by the Giants. They work it through. Now Bug can't control it.
Well, that's 7 times in Hamish, and no score from the Saints, so that gives you a bit of an idea what Kirky was saying, and sometimes it's hard to pick up that intensity again.
Yeah, it was Kennedy with that terrific defensive mark, and then Treloar, power, and the mark taken by Ward inside 50. So well done, GWS.
It also looks like they're playing an extra defender, maybe 2 at different times, so that will create a bit more of an arm wrestle, but it'll be very hard for GWS to come out and hit a forward.
Callan Ward back in the team. He was out last week, the 22-year-old. 60 games for the Western Bulldogs, his 19th today for GWS, kicking for his 8th goal of the season, and he's missed that one.
He's been a really terrific pickup for the Giants, Callan Ward, and they've got the Kevin Sheedy medal, which is the best and fairest. And I mean, Toby Breen, a lot of the youngsters have got a lot of plaudits for their efforts, but he'd be a very worthy inaugural winner of their best and fairest.
Montagna, Nunes, back to Montagna, and now Stanley. You heard Mick say earlier, Scotty Waters has been so impressed with his work. This time the floating ball cut off, and Miles just dropped in, sends it into the middle. Well, Adams had almost spent it, had to go and grab it again. Now to Haynes. Farrenray just corrals him. Haynes just ducks and weaves and brings the ball back inside. This time Kennedy, last line for the Giants, onto the left boot, finds a man that's used his left boot a lot. Now to Davis, and Davis just cruises through half back. No one really long. Short ball is on Dom Tyson. Has one player stood out for you, Tommy,
for the Giants
this year?
I really like Adam Treloar. I mean, he hasn't necessarily got the plaudits of Toby Green, but he didn't do a pre-season at all. He had chronic osteitis pubis, and he's going to be an absolute star. Ross,
his handball intercepted by Callan Ward. Short ball, not going to find a Giant. It'll find Stanley, though, and his kick, well, it's going to go close to the boundary. Montagna, he gets there, but you can see the umpire out of bounds on the full. So, little half chance. Treloar does well, squares it up to Devon Smith.
Well, this would be disappointing from the Saints' point of view. I know it's the end of the season, and
Smith plays on, starts left, and doesn't come back.
But really, they haven't shown a yelp in the last. The stats alone suggest that the Giants have doubled them in possession rate and almost inside the front 50. And they haven't scored this quarter. We've gone for a number of minutes.
Total disposals in this term so far, 57 GWS, St.Kilda 27, so it's a 30 differential in disposals. That is significant, isn't it? And GWS getting a fair bit of it here. Eventually the centering ball comes in for Bunteen, and he's got time to be slow and steady and recover. He kicks long towards half forward. Treloar went up, couldn't quite complete the mark. Montagna on the end of it to Stephen. It came out from Malera. And now the run and carry. Good kick forward by Nunes. Bouncing ball. Well done, Bunteen. Got there first. Cut it off. Quick kick forward. And the mark has been taken after the kick came forward by Tomlinson. It was marked by Miles, who gives it back now to Treloar, who runs around Nicky D, or did he? No. Del Santo got him. Geary fired the handball out towards McAvoy. Had a bit too much on it. High tackle in there, surely on GWS. The umpire said no. Let's have a look.
No, it was definitely high, but the umpire was caught there. There's the stats, 33 to 64. That's remarkable for a side that's been beaten by nearly 100 points. So it shows a great character. In fact, that does show you a great character.
Yeah.
So I'm very pleased for them.
Farron Ray over the top. Goddard will get on the end of it. The debutant gets taken over the line. We've spoken about Sebastian Ross and his pedigree. Tim Watson's nephew, Tim's sister Sharon's son. Ewan, the father, would be proudly watching on as Seb debuts for the Saints.
I tackle. Straight up. Put him up.
You know what Sheeds and Mark Williams will be talking about at half-time, about effort, maximum, 100%, pride in your performance. So I'm sure these boys will be going out to deliver.
Seb Ross went 25 in last year's draft, first pick for the Saints.
GWS advantage.
And if you want a bit of pressure on you, Scotty Waters said at one stage you reminded him of Scott Pendlebury. We speak of Seb Ross, the debutant. Left footer, finds a way of finding time. Dempster, who Tommy Harley said is in the running for an All-Australian jumper. That kick perfect. Over the top to Simpkin. Hampton can't get there. Little one to Ray. Ray's got Sardon over the top. Onto the left he goes. Well, in the end he took the mark, but Wilson got there and just stands him up for the moment. Now to Dal Santo. Milne, he had 5 at half-time, and he's got the Coleman medal in his sights. In fact, the way he was playing late in that second term, he might have Tony Lockett's numbers as well. He's only 815 behind. So
this will test him.
This will take his best. We saw him sort of run around in a similar position in that second term. This time, well, not much. Haynes to Green, and the Giants again will try and find an orange jumper.
Handball over the top, and they've worked this okay, or have they? Not so well done. Kennedy, the handball was out in front of him from Adams, so they've lost the football. Going back in, they're showing much greater desperation in this term. It's there for us to see. Bottom of the pack, Ledger wrapped up, and the ball will be bounced.
If this game, if we pan the camera out, you would see a +2 players behind the ball for Greater Western Sydney. So St Kilda are really being confused by do I run it or do I kick the football inside the front 50?
Hamish, you mentioned too Sebastian Ross, St Kilda's first pick during the 2011 draft. 11 players, he was their first pick, and 11 players from GWS were taken before him.
Tom.
Obviously not, well, the inequity obviously with GWS, the new team coming in. Here's McAvoy at the back. Well done by Giles. He won it down. Darley fired out by Adams. They might go again off the ground here. That was well done by Haynes. He got it across to Green. Back to Haynes. Good tackle from behind by Cripps. And now they run through with Malira. Farron Ray beside the centre circles when he took the football. Attacking edge of the square when he kicks. And out to take a very strong mark in his hands is Reece Stanley.
Go back and have a shot here and kick the goal. A few Giants players, Matty Bunting just filling some space there. Devon Smith's filling some space in front. That's strong hands from Reece Stanley. Again, we spoke about his comeback from what looked like a sickening clash against the Cats last week, and he's been really valuable in his return.
So Stanley kicking for his second of the afternoon. That's offline. 9 disposals for the big man today. He's been a good target, and I guess another beneficiary with Kazitsky and also the captain out of the side. It makes a big difference and gives them plenty of time up front.
If you've just joined us, the Saints led by 93 at halftime, and Mick, the Giants, they're winning the term.
Well, I think it's a credit to their leadership group and the coaches that they've spun the players around, but the St Kilda players have just become very lazy, and they haven't been able to negate the 2 players caught in front of their front 50. So, and that confusion is really, do I keep running the football or do I kick the football? And a couple of times been kicked in, but there's no Rewalt and there's no Kosicki, so they're not relying now on the mark. They have to rely on Stevie Milne to beat a one-on-one opponent.
I'll get your thoughts, Mick, at some point over the 2 sides that you coach to premierships who play tonight. Phillips almost, now a chance for Hampton. Gwilt does well, Corrals rips the ball away in the end, and Sipos just picks it up, keeps balanced, keeps it in, and then sends it over the top. Bouncing ball now. Ledger did well, just looked forward, and now it's 2 Giants and just the one Saint. In the end, Bunteen did well, and he goes short to Hoskin-Elliott.
Now, that was absolutely brilliant by Will Hoskin-Elliott. Passes the ball off, but if we go back and have a look at the replay, he ran so hard to put pressure on Ledger to kick the ball out, forced the turnover. Matty Bunteen was the player who that's the end result there, and then he's forced the turnover, had the awareness to go back and find some space, and then had the extra awareness to spot up Tyson in the middle of the forward 50. That was terrific work by Will Hoskin-Elliott.
So Dom Tyson, game number 9 for the Giants, only kicked 3 goals in his short career, a Victorian from Camberwell, then Trinity Grammar. He was at school with Adam Tomlinson, and he's kicked better footballs than that.
That's a 3.4, and that's about a 10-metre miss from 40 metres or 35 metres.
So Wilt takes the footy and changes direction immediately. Got a good shepherd there, and he's had 3 bounces already. Nearly ran his full distance to kick out wide. That's a good one. Montagna plays on quickly to Farron Ray. They've moved the ball quickly, the Saints. Following up, good kick by Sipos, and that's almost the excellent mark. Roving well. Ledger did brilliantly. He got it across to Del Santo. It bounces through for a goal.
That was a textbook front and square by Tom Ledger there. Hits the front of the contest with pace, takes it in his hands, and then unselfishly gives that goal off. Well done.
It's a really interesting kick technique there, Mick.
That was a ripping. That was one of those ones that you want to run on, and he, whether he summed up the players in front of him or not, it's outstanding by Del Santo.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Well, Debster works it to Stanley. It took a long time for the Saints to get their first. Can they push now? 19 minutes after dominating the first half, they get their first goal of the third term. Farron Ray goes through the middle and over the top. Now to Sipos, a long user of the football by boot this time. Perfect. Hits the logo on Sard's chest. Quickly over the top. Now to Malira. They've been useful, these 2 guys, this year, and surprisingly good. Sard's been outstanding. Malira's this is his 14th game. He's going at over a goal a game, but they've really changed things. Milne and Revolt always the go-to guys.
That's fantastic, and I'll say this. I know I keep pumping up Scott Waters, but he has deliberately gone and got these young players and played them like Stanley and these kids here having shots on goal, and it gives the supporters something to hang on to say our future is bright.
So Malira has 2 for the afternoon. He's got 3. He got 3 against the Blues, and he's got 3 against the Giants.
Just on screen there, that is the president of the Greater Western Sydney Giants, Tony Shepherd, getting right in amongst with the fans, and Richard Griffiths, who's the COO of the Giants. So the head office right down in amongst with the monks. That's terrific to see.
That's great, isn't it?
So after a bit of a halt, GWS kicking a goal in this term to start things off, back-to-back goals for St Kilda. And the ball now cleared by Haynes towards the wing. Hoskin-Elliott did well. He found a way through, went with the boot. Long one inside 50 out of mid-air. Gwilt, though, back there first to Dempster. He's got Gilbert breaking for him, and that's the way the ball's going to go. Gilbert can get and go immediately. He bounces on the 50, looks upfield. He's got options. Farron Ray, one of them. That was brilliantly done by Ray. Drifted in between a couple of GWS players. Green and Ward took it and ran, and the kick to Goddard, outstanding. Goddard plays on. No. Thought about it.
Just 1 metre.
He's going to go back and set up, and now he does play on. Montagna called to go. Green tackles. It looked like 15. Here's Goddard. Kick was smothered. Now Davis with some work to do. Power around the body. Clearing kick out of bounds would have been the best result. Instead, it's been marked by Nunes.
That was 15 metres every day of the week. I just can't work out why it was called play on.
Looked like it, Mick, didn't it? And they've gone back to Dempster. There might be another handball on here, or instead into the middle of the ground, and Malira, and he can set up.
Has 3 for the afternoon, Malira.
They shouldn't be able to find a spare target here, St Kilda, because all the Giants have pushed back. So they need to hold their nerve and just create the ball and then get themselves into a scoring opportunity.
To Gilbert, he'll run onto the left. Hampton, he may well have known that, just stayed on that side, forced him to handball to Simpkin. Now onto the left, and Back to Dempster. Malira's loose, as is Ledger over the top, both ignored. Now Dempster. Long ball, Goddard, Wilkes, power off hands. Little one over the top. Will sit for Tomlinson. And now he goes onto the left boot. Touch that time. Ross will be enjoying playing AFL football on debut.
Speak of players like Ross, just see a bit of a head clash here. Took a while to get up there, Cripps. The players like Ross and Cripps, for that matter, Nunes, playing against contemporaries that they would have played all their junior footy against, they'd be liking the opportunity to get a one-up on their younger teammates, younger opponents, I should say.
So after 17 goals in the first half of football, the Saints have got just 2 in this third term, and the Giants have been plucky. The Saints led by 93 points at half-time. It's 98 now. Bouncing balls, Stevie Milne hasn't had too many opportunities to add to the 5 he got in the first term. First half, I apologise, Bez.
Malira a bit lucky there. He ducked his head, didn't get a free kick for a high tackle, and could have been holding the ball, Mick.
And yeah, well, I've seen it paid before, so a bit selective.
Injury concern for GWS. Adam Tomlinson's come off with what looks like a right knee. They're doing all the tests with him now.
Good on you, Kirky. Keep an eye on it. Green with yet another possession. That's number 25 now. It was inside 50, but it's going to come out again. And a clearing kick after Geary's handball to Simpkin has been marked just behind the wing by Nunes.
Looking forward to speaking to Scotty Waters when he breaks from the huddle about the first half and then the third term.
Yeah, he can get angry, Scotty, and he may well be. That's a good mark in front by Giles. You read that well.
Sorry, Buzz. This actually goes against St Kilda's grown over the last month. They've actually outscored their opposition in third quarters over the last month by 20 goals.
Yeah, it's interesting. Kirky, doesn't look like it's going to happen in this term. Well, it won't. And they're just 2 goals to 1 in this term. And a free kick now for Taylor Adams, who tries to get around Simpkin and does. He succeeds. Runs and kick not great. And Sipos just read it well. Had his eye on it off the boot and marked on his chest. So now St Kilda's turn to set it up in the back pocket. A short one to McAvoy. It's been handy, the big man. And he'll go short to Malira.
Right there, Devon.
Tomlinson's up, ready to come back on. He must be okay.
Well, the Saints led by 31 at quarter time, 93 at half time, so it's been a good term for the Giants. The Saints won it by just the 5 points. At three-quarter time, it is the Saints by 98, and we'll speak to Scotty Waters about the first 3 quarters. Toby Green, what a player he's become, just chatting away with Leigh Montagna. Big first 3 quarters, but the Saints in control. They lead it by 98 at three-quarter time on a Saturday afternoon. With Leigh Montagna, Taylor Adams just telling Leigh Montagna that we'll be around for a while. The youngsters not being intimidated. 7 goals to 2 in the first term, 10 goals to zip in the second term, and just 2 goals to 1 in favour of the Saints in that third term sees the three-quarter time margin 98 points after it was 93 at half-time.
Yeah, it's a pretty big score differential. What do you make of that, boys? I mean, Toby Green gave as good as he got there and was prepared to let Leigh Montagna know he was in the contest. Is it a bit unsporting from Montagna?
Oh, not at all. I think it's dog-eat-dog out there. I like the fact that Toby Green was not afraid to stand up for himself. Joey's one of the best on the lip out on the field as well, and I think Toby's starting to build that reputation also.
Kirky, what did you make of it?
No, look at Kirky. He's not going to talk to you. He's in the huddle.
He's in the huddle. I don't reckon they recognise him with the haircut. He's been so good down there.
He looks like a professor, doesn't he? He looks like someone or a preacher.
He wants to play.
Look at the eyes. Look at the eyes. He's darting in there just going, that's right, Choco. You give him a rev up, because if you don't, I will.
What about a bit of George Clooney? Is it more?
Very good.
I don't know whether it's a preacher, a professor, or George Clooney. I don't know which one he'd prefer.
I reckon he'd prefer the professor. That's just the kind of guy he is.
Noel Gallagher.
That's extraordinary. Change of haircut and a change of approach. He got right in there.
He's probably advising him how to go about it.
We're going to put the headphones on St Kilda's senior coach, Scott Waters. He's done that right now. Scotty, thanks for your time, mate. 17 goals to 2 in the first half, just 2 to 1 in that third quarter. Intensity did drop off.
Yeah, really good experience for, I guess, some of our younger mids. Just, I guess, ball use against massive numbers back. I thought early we were probably too impatient. Didn't move the ball around the top of the 50 enough, and probably towards the end we held the ball outside. You still have to get it inside 50 to score, so it's a good lesson for us, and the young players they'll get something out of it.
Scott, been really impressed with the way Reece Stanley's fronted up from the game last Friday night.
Yeah, look, we were really pleased. He copped obviously, a pretty heavy knock, and he just needs to play some games. I think he's ready to become a really good player. Just needs 10 to 15 games in a row, and he'll be very important for us going forward.
Scotty, Dempster, just so important to you, top position getting player?
He's had a great year, Mick. I think he should be in All-Australian contention. He's a little underrated, but inside the club he's just a very, very good player.
Lenny Hayes, Scotty, before we let you go, wearing the red vest.
Yeah, he's getting old, Lenny. We've got to look after him.
We could talk to you all day. You've got to go and coach a football side. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, boys.
Scotty Waters, Lenny Hayes, just watching on this afternoon. We understand he's got a knee booked to be operated on during grand final week. So the old body starting to get a little bit older. He is a man that gives his own body very little self-respect, and I reckon his body will enjoy the day that Lenny says, I'm retiring from this tough caper of AFL.
GWS 3.
And just to follow up on Scotty Waters' comments, listen to Maxie Hutchison, the defensive coach. He said, let's not mess around with it in the half-back line. Let's get in and put it under some heat.
So Power sends the ball inside 50, almost a mark by Giles, not quite. Ball worked out Smith's way, just a little fumble in there. Had the ball spent before he had it. Simpkin, bottom of the pack. The ball will be bounced.
Kirky, what was the mood at three-quarter time? You were basically in the huddle, not far off addressing the players yourself.
Yeah, the Saints were pretty relaxed, was pretty composed, was very directional. Across the GWS though, Williams was very fired up, talking about effort, talking about tackling, getting physical.
You might have been fired up by how close you got, Kirky.
I love being a part of it, in amongst it. That's my style.
You're itching to get back out there. Well done, mate. Here's Stevie Milne from outside 50. Man on in the square. It's just got to sit. It does. Wilkes takes it, goes in and kicks his third goal of the afternoon.
Yeah, pretty simple goal. That's he found a bit of space over the back of the pack by Wilkes. That's his third. That's a 10th goal kicker for St Kilda. Well, not he's the 10th, but there's 10 goal kickers, and I think Scott Waters would love the spread.
Well, they go again in the middle, the two tall giants, McAvoy versus Giles, and Montagna gets taken to ground by Darley. Who impressed you most, Tommy, at the AIS?
Oh, look, they're all seriously talented kids, but I spoke about Adam Treloar just before. I mean, he's a player who didn't have a pre-season. He's developed really well this year. Love the way Will Hoskin-Elliott goes about his footy. Tom Bugg puts his head over the footy. Nathan Wilson, a young fella who's running around on Sard at the moment, also has plenty of upside.
Stanley couldn't take the bouncing ball, almost could just create something out of nothing, just offline.
They put the foot back on the accelerator, the Saints, and just watch here. They're bringing all their players up to keep this ball inside the front 50. So Scotty or their backline coach has certainly worked on putting pressure back on the kicker.
They want to keep the pressure on, and fair enough too. Mathematically, as we mentioned right at the outset, it's not impossible for them to make the finals, but they will need some significant results to go their way. Kuyu in there, a couple of fresh areas, and then Malera. Handball across to Montagna. Now Dempster sets up from inside the square. Goddard the target. His body too strong that time for Tomlinson, and in fact Tomlinson's body contact probably pushed Goddard into the right area to take the mark.
He did all his work early, Goddard. Just that split second, very legal and extremely right. And as a backline player, you've got to expect contact.
So Brendan Goddard playing game number 204. He's kicked one this afternoon. Make it two.
Saturday afternoon football in Melbourne. The roof is closed. It's been wet and cold the last few days. Balmy night during the week, but the beauty of this stadium, always perfect conditions regardless of what is happening outside. Number 6 you see slipping and sliding there is Sebastian Ross, Tim Watson's nephew, debuting this afternoon. Cripps gets tackled. Miles over the top. Giles does a little bit of roving, can't control it. Dom Tyson finds some space, does well. Now Treloar, the high long ball. Hoskin-Elliott, well, doesn't get a chance to fly at the ball. Dempster went back, not a mark. Play on the call, it gets held up.
It's stiff Dempster there. He sort of controlled it all the way down, and he got hit by either a teammate or an opponent sort of jagged out of his arms because of it.
Fell over the loose bodies underneath him. McAvoy does the ruck work. Stephen, Power, Hoskin-Elliott. So the young and the old on the ground together there for the Giants. Wilkes goes back. He's been lively again this afternoon. Can't control it. This time Wilson will pick up for the Giants. Swoop it inside. Davis. Quick kick. Out of bounds on the full. The pressure was good from Geary.
Mark's back here.
Great tackle by Geary.
So Bo Wilkes with the free kick for out of bounds on the full, and Geary's got it.
Play on.
Can see what's up in front of him. There wasn't an open man, so he goes sideways, and that's fair enough. And Dempster gets under the footy. And they'll try the other side of the ground. Goddard presents. Probably should have gone there. In the end, it's a bouncing ball back to Geary. Green, terrific tackle. That was fantastic stuff. They're going to come away with it, though. After the Green tackle, there was plenty of time for St Kilda. They swooped on it through Ross. Well done by the first gamer. He sent it long towards half forward. The ball's going to be bounced.
Injury concern for the Giants. Hoskin-Elliott's just come off and the physio's checking his ankle.
Shot of the GWS bench. So St Kilda will get their 11th win for the season here, Mick. And Scotty Wattis has done a terrific job. If you think back to last year, Essendon finished 8th with 11 wins and a draw. They'll go to 11 wins now, St Kilda. And, well, they're a chance in their final game against Carlton. They may well finish with more wins than the team that finished in 8th spot last year and still miss out.
Well, I know in certain countries, particularly the States, anything that's 50% above, that's a winning year. And right now, this is Scott Waters going into winning territory, and I think it's a credit to him. He's been prepared to pay the young blokes, and I think that says volumes about his nerve, because you really do expose yourself with those young fellas from time to time, but if you stick with them long enough, they will cause these sorts of damage to players. Even the fact of playing McAvoy in the ruck, just settling in on him without chasing another ruckman from outside is so good in his own methodology of giving that player the confidence to say, you're our first ruck, we're going to stick with you.
The win today sees them win their 11th game of the season or more for the last 10 years. So it's been a good decade. The only team in the AFL to have done so. Malira, smothered by Phillips, will go back and win the football. The handball wasn't terrific. Ended up with Montagna. He goes to a man with a bit of space, and the kick was perfect to Stephen. Just arches his back. Power got a hand onto it. He handballed to himself. Power's follow-up was good. The swooping Milne picked it up, just danced around, and then just fed it inside to Ledger.
So the Saints, really, when you say a plus virtually for the last 10 years, that speaks. What it does say to you, the supporters have had a wonderful ride.
Yep.
No premierships, but they're very difficult. But right to the death, they've kept their supporters in the game.
And Hayne, last year 12 wins and a draw. They may well finish with 12 wins this season under their new coach.
Cruising in, Ledger. Sounds pretty good from the fans behind the goals, because it is pretty good. He gets his first of the afternoon. The Saints continue to roll on.
So St Kilda's lead 117, and if we're chasing records, their biggest winning margin of all time, 139 points on the day that Stevie Milne kicked 11 goals back in round 22 2005 against the Brisbane Lions, and they might be able to get close to that yet. Here's Green, another possession, number 26, a look away handball over the top, not particularly good from Smith, was just to the voice. Hoskin-Elliott there, Matt mops up, Darley. They've lost the football now. Well done, Ledger. Burst his way through. Here's Stevens to Farron Ray. Back to Stephen. Hoskin-Elliott. He applied good body pressure but didn't tackle. Montagna gets it up forward. Ledger again. Back to Montagna. Close to the line. They've done okay to Bunteen. Now the football in the arms of Adams. Handball went looking for a teammate. Bunteen it was. It didn't get there. Now St Kilda with the numbers. They worked the ball well. Ross has kicked forward inside 50. A long fist away. Callan Ward intercepted well by Malera. That was brilliantly done. Unselfishly with a short one. Stevie Milne between the legs. He couldn't quite mark. Might have been a throw out that time. Well done by Kennedy. He was right there with him. Rode him every inch of the way. And they might force a bounce inside 50.
Hoskin-Elliott's come back out on the ground, but he looks lame. He's not moving that well. I don't think he'll spend too much time out there or much longer.
He put some forward pressure on before there, Kirk. He's a really tough kid from Melbourne, but certainly is on his last legs out there at the moment.
Ball bounced inside 50. Hames working the calculator, Tom, so look out. We're about to get something. Here's Green. Not the invoice, is it?
Well, it's usually the live ladder time, Haim. I'm not sure this has a huge impact on the live ladder this game.
No, I'm just trying to work out in regard to biggest margin of all time. And we said it earlier, it's 139 versus the Blues back in... Sorry, versus the Lions, where Milne kicked 11 that afternoon. I'm just not sure whether we're going to get there. I was trying to work out goals per minute. Meanwhile, the Giants just hang tough. It's been a long year for young bodies, and this afternoon the Saints, they've played some youngsters, but they've dominated throughout the afternoon. Mick, we alluded to it earlier, premiership coach of both sides. Who do you fancy in the West tonight? Eagles hosting the Pies as they work forward again quickly to Miles, now to Hampton. Can he finish? He kicks. It might just work out. It has. The Giants get one against the flow. Hold the thought, Mick. Be back in just a moment.
Well, there's a few mistakes made here. The ball ended up going forward, and I'm not too sure it was a square up or a shot on goal. It matters not. Still 6 points. It's one they needed. Curtly Hampton finished off beautifully. Got the right spin on it.
So ball out of the middle. Mick will get that thought in just a moment. Hoskin-Elliott sockered forward by Dempster. It was almost soccering in danger, but no whistle from the umpire. So Dempster goes over the top. Here's Nunes closing. He's kicked a couple today. He didn't come off the boot cleanly, and it was touched right on the line. That was good work by Phil Davis getting back, and just a rush behind.
Do you think, Tom, with Hoskin-Elliott, if there's no long-term effect of putting him back out there, it just tests him mentally?
Yeah, I think so. And Kirky, we worked really closely with him at the academy, and he is a tough kid, don't you think?
Yeah, no, he is, definitely. I really like the look of him. He's a great ball carrier. He's got a nose for the goals, and he is a tough kid. You just you imagine that they put him out there because it's not going to be long-term effect, and they're just going to test his mental resilience.
Collingwood West Coast, what about it tonight, Mick?
Oh, the Pies travel so very well. Got a good side in. Swan back in. I like the fact that Kennedy's come back in the side for the West Coast as well. So I've predicted a goal either side. I just can't split them.
Wilkes, a little one to Ray. Gathers, gives to Geary now to the hot spot. Montagna, no Milne for the moment. Well done, Callan Ward. So Milne hasn't added to his 5 goals, which he had up to half-time. Only 2 goals, in fairness, to the Saints in the third term. 3 so far in the final term. Wilkes has had a good afternoon. He's kicked 3. Malera, 3 straight, but Milne leads the day with 5. Devon Smith, Farron Ray.
Been very good, Farron Ray.
Oh, he's copped a lot in the last 10 minutes or so, Will Hoskin-Elliott. He'll soldier on. He's really a terrific young fella who's got a really long, strong future with the Giants. Eddie's coming off now with what looks like a bit of an ankle injury, and we'll get Kirky to keep us updated on that one.
I think that's deliberate, is it? For
well, if it goes out base without being touched, it can be. It can be construed as that.
McAvoy's like a party trick down there in the forward pocket, and he takes the mark and he'll go back and shoot on goal. That had to be soccering in danger too, didn't it? Hoskin-Elliott's hands down there, and the boot from Dempster came through. Fortunately, no harm done, and geez, this is a good effort, isn't it?
No, he's a terrific, normally a terrific one grab mark, but he keeps his eye on the football. That's why he's able to grab this one. Kept it on its way all from the moment it hit his hands.
So only the 7 disposals today for McAvoy. Hasn't kicked a goal. 20 hit outs, and now he's got a goal. St Kilda have their 23rd, and they lead it by 118 points.
Very, very good mark. And the other thing about him is an excellent kick on goal too. So he's such a hard-working player for them.
Darley, quick little kick forward. Phillips set a bit of a task. Hard ridden by Gwilt. Gwilt goes back to try and get hands on the football, but they were quick, the Giants, and this time it was Hampton who shut him down. Hampton, Kirtley kicked a goal just moments ago. I was watching Warney earlier, so I was thinking two of the best bowlers of all time have kicked goals at that end, Shane Warne and Kirtley. So they just paddle the ball around. The Saints by 118. Their biggest winning margin of all time is 139. It's going to be a big last 9 minutes if they're going to close in on that. Led by 93 points at half-time. They won the third term by just 5 points, 98, as Gwilt goes short and finds Stephen.
Mick, a question for you. What type of players do you think the Saints will be looking for over the summer break?
Well, from their position on the ladder, Kirky, I would say it's just the best player in the draft. And you're just picking regardless, because those players have a tendency to get on the field, whether it be, if it's a medium, they'll play both ends of the ground, then eventually get in the middle. If it's a tall, they can always do with a tall. Know that Kaczynski and Riewoldt are both nearing 30, if not 30. And their back line is really, when you look at Gwilt, he's only a 188 player, so perhaps they look for a key back, but you don't really draft key backs. They're generally a key forward that becomes a key back. So I know it's a little bit complicated, but that's the way it generally works.
It was a good mark by Miles there under some pressure from Farron Ray's kick towards the 50. The Saints get high, fisting away Dempster. He's been terrific at that. In fact, it's a rare time, really, Tom, that he hasn't gone for the mark defensively. More often than not, he'll grab those. Yeah,
and that's been the part of his game that he's really taken to another level, and it was great to hear Scott Watters really pump him up at three-quarter time. He has had an outstanding season, and I've picked him in the All-Australian side. Mick, would you put him in?
Well, Scott has. That's 2.
So, 3?
Well, on what I've seen so far, you'd have to.
Mick Phillips almost the mark, not quite paid, and now there's a free kick. Trelaw pushed off. The power kick came in, and Trelaw will go back and kick.
Here, I'll have Dempster in.
I think the reason why we haven't, because he's seemed always so unfashionable, but he is fashionable. He's a good marking player, a very good stopper. His first priority is always to do, as a backline player should, stop your opponent, then create. And his creativity this year has been outstanding, and his marking has been first class.
Here's Trelaw to become the first multiple goal kicker for GWS today. 9 for the season coming in. He's got 11 now.
So just one of the young Giants who's been so impressive this year. 13 teenagers out on the ground this afternoon. He's one of those. Remarkable to think that only 3 Giants players have played more than 50 games out on the ground this afternoon.
That's happened with sides like, I guess, Port, but they introduced so many senior players to their side, which clearly Greater Western Sydney and Gold Coast haven't been able to do. So we are seeing something new.
Tyson onto the left. Can they go back-to-back this afternoon? It'd be a nice way to finish late. Out the back. Again, it's Dempster who's doing the bulk of that bullocking defending work. Simpkin there too. Dempster tries to knock it out the back. Crashing through. In the end was Bug. He's already been off once today with the blood rule. Simpkin's still there.
I think as the footy public, we just have to be patient. That this is going to take some time. These guys need to get some games under their belt. Usually players take 3 to 4 years of pre-seasons and experience to be able to get that ability to be able to really contribute consistently at AFL level.
And another debutant today, Kirky. Debutant number 36 for the Giants this year, and that is Reece Kuyu. Kuyu kicked a goal earlier on, so
against Luke Power, free kick for abuse. It's your free kick.
Is there a magic number for players to get to when they start to get it, to know how to play, how to be able to sustain it?
Well, Kirk, you were just listening to Luke Power then just arguing with the umpire. He gave away the first and argued with the umpire, and language and technicality sends him down the field again. Blood on the nose of Power. Montagna uses his body pretty well against Hoskin-Elliott. Looks back to Ray, ignores him, brings it inside. Here's a chance. Might just run in Nunes and kick a goal. Goes short, Sard. Had to be good, the hands. Hit the hands, came off. It was a quick ball. And Power He gathers and gives to Hoskin-Elliott.
That'll be one that Scott Waters will show on Monday morning, that you just don't kick to a player on the lead who's got something up his ginger, especially when you're inside 50. You analyse that, you work it out, you're a 50-metre kick, you've proven that kick to goal.
Really interesting stat. It was Montagna and Nunes both involved in that. They were both picked number 37, both went to Marsden College, both played for the Northern Knights. Would have been nice if they chimed in and kicked the goal together.
Almost, not quite. And ditto the mark, or has the mark been paid? No, in fact.
Where you are?
I reckon you know that, Tom, because you are on the verge of being an Australian selector. You know everything about every player.
It's the one mountain he hasn't climbed, Mick. I mean, he's just about got everything else happening as our Tommy. Ball long inside 50. It was a good mark by Giles in the end and paid that way by the umpire. It's out the back, though, now to Malera. St Kilda with some attacking to do yet. The ball towards Stanley and it's over the line.
Did we get an answer on who was coaching the Power next year from Tommy?
Well, Luke Power's on screen at the moment. Hamish in a nice diversion tactic, and I think he's coming off because he did have a bit of blood on his face after the argument. Yeah, you can see it right there.
He managed to get away with that for a long time, didn't he? Stayed out there. Here's Nick Del Santo through the middle of the ground. He kicks long. Sard caught behind. He went back and found the footy, and now he tried to bounce, a little over anxious, but the finish, no good. He made that harder work than he should have kicked the first time.
Well, he should have kicked the first time, and the second time he should have hand passed over the top. This is quite incredible stuff. His recovery was great, but he's got a hand, someone inside. Wilkes is inside him for an easy goal.
The old live by the sword, die by the sword, Mick.
Yes, indeed, Brett.
Straight back.
Davis amused with the umpire. Cripps will get the free kick, and quickly off they go. Ends up with Sipos. He's a long kick of the football, and that is very long.
It's a thumping kick here by Sipos. He's launched that every part of 55 metres and gone through, and Mick made the comment. He's hurt himself in the process. He's been taken off the ground. Might have overkicked the ball, but he's been really good today. The 23 disposals, 10 marks, and the goal to finish off a good day's work.
It almost looked like a hamstring there. He's sort of reaching behind, but we'll find out soon enough. Here's Farron Ray. St Kilda break again. They've got 24 goals, looking for number 25. And on a long lead, Stanley. Great kick and good mark. Reece Stanley with 12 disposals today, coming up for number 13. He's kicked 1 goal too. Got to say, to the crowd of 17,000, we were worried when we first got here that there was going to be less than 10,000, and not a great figure, but in the end, not bad support.
Well, they may see some records broken. It's always good to be at those games.
Reece Stanley with 1-2 for this afternoon. Kick on its way, and it started right and stayed right. St Kilda's lead, 120 points.
Hats off to the St Kilda Footy Club for the way they've embraced their fans. I think today they've obviously gone in with an initiative, put the name on the jumper. They've got the supporters through the turnstiles. They've played some young kids. It's been a really positive day.
It's been positive for the Saints on the scoreboard. 120-point leaders. They've only won 3 games in the history of the club by 120 or more. Tyson, the little one inside to Phillips. Green continues to get the football, and this time he just kicks in the Hampton direction. Wilt, though, just over the top to Nunes. Desperate in the end from Adams. It's good late in the game. You'd like to see the youngsters continuing to dive hard at the football when the game is well and truly out of reach.
Toby Green with 3 possessions in that one passage of play. Then he has fought on right throughout the afternoon, and he continues to go up to 31 disposals. Now make it 32.
Quickly inside 50, bouncing ball. Simpkin just waits, and Bogue happy to see him over.
So that's 8 30-plus possession games in his first season.
Yeah, it's incredible, really, for an 18-year-old. And I mean, really incredible. It's not something to just take for granted. To win the ball is hard enough. To win against the side when thrumped is terrific.
Well, Sard, another one of those playing in his first year. Slightly older footballer, but equally as impressive. He's 22 years of age and hadn't played football until he's 16, but the Saints fans enjoying watching him play. Ugly sort of a turnover. So we're whittling down the last term, and the Saints lead by 120. Their biggest margin ever, 139. That was against the Lions. Milne kicked 11 in that match. He has 5 this afternoon. A lot of teenagers playing for the Giants this afternoon, and they've been brave, but they've been outplayed.
Tyson close to the line, worked the footy to Phillips. He did well there, got out of the Montagna tackle. Here's Green for his 500th disposal for the season. That was it, that handball. Geez, that's a good effort. 500 in your first season. And speaking of good efforts, St Kilda with 13 goal scorers this afternoon. But the young man on screen, he can hold his head high. I wonder how he'll go in the Kevin Sheedy medal. I think fairest and best.
Yeah, he'll be right up there. I mean, bargain basement for all the dream teams at the start of the year. Could dare say he's probably going to be worth about $1 million next year.
Here's Stephen. He found a way through. Dishes to Farron Ray from 40. He sets it up high, but it was offline from the moment it left the boot. It's 121 points now, the lead. Inching their way towards 139, Hame.
I know percentage not an issue, but they've jammed on about 7% this afternoon. So they'll miss the finals unless something remarkable happens. They've played 7 of the last 8 years, and as we alluded to, it's been a good run for Saints fans. 3 grand finals, no premiership, but 11 wins or more every year in the last 10 years. Nick Revolt, you would think, is done for the year, and as a result, these young Saints will continue to play senior football. A debutant this afternoon in Sebastian Ross. Big fly from Brendan Goddard.
What do you reckon, Tommy? Will he stay at the Saints?
Look, I don't think he will, to be honest. I reckon at this point in time, quite clearly there's an offer on the table. He's testing the market. I think Scotty Waters answered those questions perfectly about the captaincy. So I don't think he'll be captain, but no, I think he might be playing in a different colour next year.
2 goals this afternoon, won't add to it. Wilkes just keeps it inside. He can be pretty electric in those situations. This time the ball smothered and just paddled forward. Darley was doing the paddling off to Miles. In the end, Ross just held him up. Geary, Montagna now to Dempster. Steps inside, does well. Got around Devon Smith. Long ball, top of the square. In fact, it's deeper than that. It'll go through for a minor score.
Mick, what do you think?
Well, I haven't got a cider really, unless you've got some colours in mind. I can't see. He's a free agent, so he's not going to go to a club that's going to struggle. I think he'll go somewhere where he's got a chance to play finals football, which he's been doing regularly at Saints anyway.
Well, I guess he could get the big money at GWS, and his relationship with Ross Lyon, does that bring Fremantle into the equation? Would he travel out of Victoria?
Yeah, I think it does. I think the Crows have also been mentioned. I mean, if they lose Tippett, they'll have plenty of room to move in the cap.
Meanwhile, St Kilda move the footy forward. Ends up with Cripps, and here is the man we speak of with the yellow boots. From 45 metres, he can kick a goal. Goddard, 25 for the Saints.
Well, just on him, you say that if Cloak moves, maybe Collingwood will enter in it as well, because I just can't see how a player who's played finals football, who's got probably 3 or 4 years left in a really top level, would want to wander down to a club that's going to, and we know how good the Giants are going to be, but I just think that this is why free agency really is going to aid the top sides more than the bottom sides.
And I would love to see Brendan Clotter play his career out at St Kilda. To me, he is heart and soul St Kilda Footy Club. It hasn't signed, and you're right, Mick, it's only going to be one of the top clubs. You'd have to say Fremantle, Collingwood and Adelaide are all going to be thereabouts in the next couple of years, and he'd be a significant contributor wherever he went.
Seb Ross, St Kilda.
Well, Seb Ross will get a kick late, or will he get the stat? Well done. So the 3rd biggest win of all time for the Saints. It was a whopping 128 points over the young Giants. Saturday night football is in the West. The Eagles versus the Pies. Dane Swan and Nick Natanui and Slash join BT, Das, Lingy and Richo. It's big whichever way you look at it.
With one of my old teammates and best on ground today, Shawnee Dempster. Mate, were you impressed by the Giants' effort today?
Yeah, I think all year they've been able to give that effort and that real grunt, and I think that's what is gaining them respect in the league. So we knew that coming into the game there'd be a hard match. I mean, they're only 19, 20-year-old kids, and they're really putting it all on the line.
Is there a different feel coming into the back end of the year knowing it's highly unlikely you won't play finals compared to the other years?
Yeah, we haven't had that for 4 or 5 years now, so it is a bit strange, but look, we need to get what we need to out of the next couple of weeks, and we've got some young players that we're blooding, and hopefully we can carry that sort of form into next year.
Our commentary team has you in the All-Australian side this year, mate. You've had a great year. What impact has Scotty Waters had on your footy?
Massive impact. Look, he's given me a lot of confidence to go for my marks and to be a bit more attacking. I've been the sort of half-back tagger for the last couple of years, and look, I enjoyed doing that, doing my bit for the team, but it's good to be off the leash a little bit and be able to use some different attributes.
Mate, you've had a great year. Enjoy it.
Thanks, Eddie.
So Stevie Milne kicked 5 this afternoon. It was the Saints by 128 points in the end. They were dominant. Stand by now for 7 News.